reliable, trusted, and proven choice. No one has installed more DaVinci roofs, and there's a reason why John Higgins Weather Guard is the nation's leader. Community member, community supporter. Make the right call.
John Higgins Weather Guard, the home of the rooferys. Make the right call.
This is a sale so big that Standard Heating and Air can only do it once a year. Right now, and for a very limited time, buy a Carrier air conditioner from Standard Heating and Air and get a free furnace. Carrier, turn to the experts on qualifying equipment.
Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
All right, time for the crossover. It's powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlowconcrete.com. Let's talk about something that happened during one of the timeouts last night in Lincoln.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of confusion, and you'll be able to fill in what actually happened.
Okay.
Little Red and the corn mascot.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? What was that?
A few minutes before that started, somebody came over the headset and said, "Hey, the mascots have this skit planned." And we were like, "All right, well, what is it?" And they were like, it's just they're just going to be out there, they're doing stuff."
Is this a regular occurrence?
No.
Okay.
So we kind of wanted, the people at the table, the people in charge, they wanted some more information. And
I'm watching it now. Holy crap.
That information was not available apparently. But yeah, they got a guy dressed up in a corn, and Little Red
laid him out.
Yeah, smacked him,
and then
drug him off like a dead person.
And he was like swimming like Michael Phelps on his way out. And he just, oh my God, he drug him out of the concrete too.
It went over well. It went over well. And the corn man, he was holding up a sign that said Iowa on it.
Oh,
so he was Iowa corn.
I thought see, that was tough. I thought it was a mascot on mascot, like crime. Like
no, we don't. I don't
Nebraska.
think there's a corn guy. I don't think there's a corn. That's maybe there should be a corn man. Just walking
corn
around,
woman,
corn woman, corn person.
Yeah,
just walking around. But yeah, they found a corn costume and
they went with it.
They went to town.
Yeah,
I respect that.
What was the reaction afterward amongst the production marketing people?
We were like, "What just happened?" Let's hear it for Little Red, everybody. He just laid the hell out of that corn.
So I was watching on TV, and I was going to text you. He is, because the sports information contact for the particular sport at basketball, it sits on the end like where Seamus sits for men's basketball. But Jeff Greash is across the way.
That's right.
As doing, the analyst on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was sitting there last night was very, he had a lot of gyrations.
Really? What? Really?
Yes, there were a lot of cheering going on.
Interesting.
Like movement and stuff.
I can't see that really. It's like 4 seats down for me, and I don't really look that way. But that makes sense. Those are the stat crew. The stat crew sits there.
I love it
and
when
then,
Gary uses the word gyration.
And then the Nebraska video person, Eddie, sits down there too.
But then the other thing that we noticed, Matt noticed it, I noticed it, the Big Ten Network noticed it. So they're having the handshake line. Did you see this, Josh? And our boy over here is staring intently at the Iowa head coach. The camera like catches Happer.
I just wasn't very happy.
By the way, not
loves
catches.
my boy.
Catches is an understatement. You were center of the camera.
I'll find a way to get this on the
It was
stream.
ridiculous. I mean, it was almost like Stephon Diggs, watching Kansas City celebrate-esque with how you were staring down the Iowa line. You were PO'd.
I just
way to get into the game. Hey, you're the PA guy, man. That's awesome.
Just Iowa makes you feel some kind of way, Iowa women's basketball, the way they carry themselves, they make you feel feelings. Here, let me. It's
different compared to last year because Lisa Bluter and Caitlin Clark aren't there.
Yeah,
it's almost
is it worse?
It's almost worse because they
you're like, ugh, Sydney a falter with a 3.
They might be a little like entitled. I don't know the right way to put it, but it feels
now
they might be. Here, let's put it up here. If you could see that, it's very small.
Hannah Stuelke.
Ooh, yeah.
Hannah Stuelke for 2.
Yeah. Stolke.
Yeah.
Olsen. It's up there on the stream right now. There's me just hanging out after the game.
You were in the rule of thirds. You were on the left third, and it was just obvious. Like, look at that man pissed. At Iowa basketball.
It was a long game. There was some officiating.
Why did Channel 6 use that?
I don't know.
Because the screenshot you've used is from the news.
Yeah, that was
not from the game.
My dad took a picture.
Sure.
He got back from the game and started watching the news immediately.
Sure.
And then sent me a picture of that. He's like, I saw you on TV there. What's wrong?
He texted back, is everything okay?
He's like, yeah. Do you like Iowa? I can't tell. So
yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
And by the way,
fun. Not a fun one last night.
The game was over, and so I just went to the kitchen to go and grab a snack, and I walked back into the living room, and I just saw you right there, just staring bullets. I was like, oh,
maybe your eyes were burning from the Color Rush game last night.
Yeah, it was odd ketchup and mustard situation.
Yeah,
or whatever you'd like to.
Do you still like those jerseys?
I don't like the women wearing them. Like, I love the men.
Really?
Yes. And by the way, I haven't lost. Haven't lost.
That's true.
Never lost.
I don't like the women wearing them. I flipped it on, and I was shocked to see I don't know.
The contrast?
Yeah. I didn't expect a Color Rush game.
Well, you got it.
You didn't expect the Panthers to take on the Seahawks?
It's Big Monday.
But the Black History Month home uniform is really nice.
Well, there's only one, right?
It's the exact same.
They had last year.
They had it from. I don't know if they have that anymore.
No,
so the only one they have is the all red.
Yes,
I think
that's
so.
the only one.
Yeah.
They've only had because they've worn them both on home and on the road. Are they just rolling with that jersey all of February? There's no other jersey they're going to go with.
Well, if they keep winning,
well, why not?
Yeah, if they keep winning, I would imagine that they'll keep using them.
So, are we going to be in another ketchup mustard event on Thursday night when Maryland comes in here?
Oh God only knows what color
I bet
they're
Maryland
wear.
wears something weird like gray or whatever.
Well, the red on whatever slate gray Ohio State was doing on Sunday, that was not pretty either.
Are you guys also sick and tired of Oregon and all the different jerseys? I'm kind of done with it. I'm just it's run its course.
They have it toned down relatively well for basketball. I think they pretty much go white, green, or black.
They were wearing like an all white.
Well, the one with the duck that was
Yeah.
that was not good. That was not good.
So this is a normal uniform game tonight, though. I know baby blues. No,
I don't know. Well, I mean, with all the powder blue that's going to be in the lower bowl with the stripe out thing, maybe they do go powder blue.
I think that college athletics should have a game where they do wear their road uniforms at home. Some schools are doing that, but I would like to see that at least once, so fans can see what the road uniform looks like.
It only works, in the Big Ten, everybody's red. In the Big East, everybody is blue, and so it's hard to do your road color at home because the other team is also blue. If you're in the Big East,
fair.
So like it works when it's red on blue. When it's red on blue, it's really good. But there's. You don't like it when they do color rush?
I'm not a color rush guy.
See,
for me, basketball, you always have to have a team in a white jersey.
Look up really?
Yeah.
That's pretty old school.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I grew up with.
Let me show you.
We were like the team that I watched my entire life was we were red or we were white.
Yeah.
And on St. Patrick's Day, we wore green. That was just kind of it. Like,
let me find.
See, when Creighton and Nebraska played in Lincoln and they both worn, like Nebraska's worn red and then Creighton will wear the blue.
Yeah.
I like that look.
I agree. That was the game that I was.
You're not a fan of the USC UCLA football game?
No, I'm talking about basketball.
Okay.
I'm talking about basketball.
2023.
For football, I'm cool with football. Because like teams have to have unique colors and stuff like that because there's so many teams. I mean, like,
how about this? What do you think? Right there.
I'm not a fan.
That was the last time they played in Lincoln. Red versus blue. I thought it popped.
It's not a red versus blue thing. It's just a color versus color thing.
Well, I like that color versus color.
I want a white jersey, and then the away team gets to be their alternate color.
Look at that.
Matt likes it pure.
Yeah.
And that's how it's meant to be. And then like the nice thing too about
white that K-State Tominaga, Baylor Shireman.
Like also too, you have to understand that like white jerseys aren't like wife beaters. You can add accents to it, and to the point where you can make a white jersey your own.
People forget.
So it's like everybody should have a white jersey. It's kind of cool, like your white jersey. Hey, look how cool!
But for special occasions,
that's fine. But
as the Creighton Nebraska game is,
I cannot stand when a team basically adopts their alternate jersey as their like go-to number one jersey. Like when the Suns kept wearing the Valley, they kept wearing the Valley jersey. Like that was a City Connect.
That's in the NBA.
Yeah.
The NBA, nobody has any loyalty to any brand.
Or like when the Cavaliers were wearing their sleeved black like jerseys in the NBA finals.
Yeah.
Like, no, you wear your away jerseys. This isn't like we're not doing any promotions or anything like that.
I can't
our shooting
recall.
percentage has gone down because of our shoulders are restricted by these sleeves.
I mean, I can't recall too many times where Creighton has worn blue at home, like royal blue at home.
No,
the color of this pen.
I just think in just sports in general,
in my hand is royal blue.
I don't get that.
That's from Liar Liar.
Okay, haven't seen it.
It's a good one. Check it out.
We'll do. I just think
Jim Carrey.
Just basketball's bad. Like we try and reinvent the wheel with all of these jerseys and everything like that, and it's all a big money grab, so we can have different alternates and whatnot.
Nebraska, I don't know what Nebraska's base uniform is. Like I don't even think they have.
I think it's become that cream white one that's pretty good.
Yeah, and then they finally found some cream undershirts, which was good.
Yeah.
Good news.
Can we get into that about Luka last night? Did you see him?
Yes.
So Luka's wearing white undershirts and a white arm sleeve.
Yeah.
It looked like I was watching
under their gold or yellow jersey.
Maybe it's new. He couldn't find a yellow one.
He might be the only Laker who doesn't like Lakers superstar who doesn't look good in the jersey. I was watching
he's fat
him play.
And drunk.
Yeah. I was watching him play, and I was like, "This seems like a temporary thing. Like this seems like in the future we're going to be like, hey, remember when this funny thing happened?"
I think if you're not slender, yellow's a bad look.
Hey,
yellow's a bad look.
Yeah. People forget he might test the market. Luka, test the market.
So where's he going to go?
I'm not making any predictions of where he's going to go. He should test. He's at a point now where he's allowed to test the market because he no longer has this supermax contract that he's automatically going to sign. So everybody is of the same ilk in terms of offering him years and money. So it's not as if like, oh my God, this team's going to give me way much more. I'm obviously going to go to them. Like it's going to be up to like whether or not you have the money and whether or not you can grab them.
He got the star treatment last night. Adele and Rich Paul, I hadn't seen them together in a while.
Yeah.
They were sitting courtside.
Yeah.
Are they going to get married?
I was watching for a little while, and
they did.
They were doing the thing where
I'll look it up.
Did they get married? I should know this. I'm a big Adele fan. Oh. I have an Adele playlist, like all my favorite Adele songs.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that.
Engaged in August.
Yes, that's what I thought. They're not married.
Okay.
Congratulations. Did they do it at a basketball game?
Did she shoot a half-court shot?
They did it at a residency in Vegas
during a concert in Munich.
Wow.
In Germany. Known for their love.
Whoa. So it wasn't
on
her
stage?
concert.
I mean, I would imagine it was her
Knowing
concert.
Adele, I feel like Adele wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not very Adele.
I misread it. She confirmed the engagement during a concert.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
You got to do that privately.
Yeah.
Adele's not about the glitz.
That's
and
a hell of a
glamour.
power couple.
Yeah.
Is Adele, Rich Paul bigger than Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce?
It is not.
In what
No,
regard?
it
In
is not.
regards to money? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, Adele is
no.
Now,
Adele's got a
Taylor
lot of
Swift
money.
is $1 billion.
Taylor Swift's $1 billion?
Yeah.
Oh,
Taylor Swift is.
she made $2 billion on her tour.
No way.
Taylor Swift has to be the richest singer/actor that we have, right?
I had no clue.
Ooh, that's I mean, we're talking to the B. So
Rough math of celebrity net worth: Adele and Rich Paul, 340 million.
Taylor's about tripling that herself.
I could type.
I mean,
correctly.
Travis makes chump change.
Yeah,
He gets
a
the hometown
poor.
discount.
Taylor Swift net worth 1.6 billion.
Jesus.
She's doing okay.
Holy Lord. I had no idea.
You didn't?
I had no clue she was in the billion.
Oh yeah.
That Eras tour
my
turned out pretty
God.
good for her.
Yeah, she might have made it.
Travis Kelce, by far the poorest of those four people.
Yeah.
Poor Travis.
A
Taylor's
paltry
carrying her.
$52 million net worth.
That's it.
Really?
Taylor's carrying him, but that's all right. That's all.
That is insane.
Remember when you used to know like people's salaries off the top of your head, like
Yeah.
sports stars?
Yeah.
And we used to make a big deal about sports stars getting paid, but we never used to go, that guy's getting $20 million to do a movie, and that movie is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what anyone makes for a movie anymore.
No.
What
You
what is the standard?
You used to know like the 6 people who were $20 million actors.
Yeah.
It was like Tom Cruise. It was a big deal when like Cameron Diaz got
That's right.
like 15 million for a movie.
We got into that a
What'd you
little
get that
bit
for?
with
Mask?
during the peak of Marvel. It was coming out that like Robert Downey Jr. was making $50 million for like the last Avengers movie.
There was the one where at the end, all the Seinfeld cast were making $1 million an episode.
Yeah.
or
Well, the
something
Big
like
Bang
that.
Theory is also the famous one,
Yeah.
too, where they were all making.
Then
$1
they
million
hold
an
out
episode.
like the last year.
So I think they went in on it because it was like you could do it differently, go separately or together. They went together and they got what they wanted. So this isn't updated. Who do you think? Jay-Z is apparently the highest net worth at $2.5 billion. Then there's someone else, according to this website, that would be higher than Taylor Swift. Can you guess who that may be?
Beyonce.
Are we talking
No.
about actors? Or
We're talking about singers. This is only singers.
Only singers. Okay.
This is
So
like
she's
from
3.
Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney is number 3 with 1.2 billion on
Good
this
guess.
list.
Good
So
job.
he is in between Taylor Swift and this other person. Who's at $1.7 billion. This other singer.
She?
It's a she.
Celine Dion.
No,
It's not Beyonce?
it's not Beyonce.
Mm.
It is in the Beyonce adjacent realm.
Beyonce, adjacent.
Rihanna.
No,
Very good.
country
Josh.
singers. Country singers.
Because the
Oh.
makeup line has her.
Oh, is that what it is?
At like the makeup line is worth like $1 billion.
In 2017, Rihanna launched a beauty line,
Yeah.
Fenty Beauty. Also owns a lingerie company called Savage X Fenty.
Totally.
Savage.
I believe that she
Don't Google that, Josh.
wore that during her Super Bowl performance.
Where she announced she was pregnant.
Yeah.
This
Did she announce or she just
I think
let
people just
everybody
figured it
see?
out.
Yeah.
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 Robert Downey Jr. made $50 million
Yeah.
for a Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one has
Jeez.
Taylor Swift, 1.63 billion. She's 4th under Paul McCartney and Rihanna.
Spoiler alert.
This is
that's
Esquire.com.
why his character died in Endgame.
Well, they're bringing him.
No.
Yeah.
Is that really
bring-
is that really the reason?
Well, They're
But
like,
he's already coming back as a different person.
He's
Yeah.
coming back now as Doctor
Yeah.
Doom.
they
And apparently,
didn't expect it to fall off as hard as it did.
Well,
Everybody.
what happened was, is
Why did they not expect that?
Well, what happened was is they had Jonathan Majors, who was going to be Kang. Kang was going to be the next big villain.
Okay.
But then Jonathan Majors got in some legal trouble, and so
That's a way to put it.
yeah, he got in some legal trouble. So they had to axe. They had to axe him and be like, all right,
Yeah.
the Kang character's done. So they had to reset where they were going.
Yeah.
And I think the only way for them to get interest back into Marvel was we got to bring back Robert Downey Jr. But they're
Didn't
bringing
work.
they're bringing him back as Doctor Doom, and reportedly he's making even more money
That wouldn't surprise
than
me.
like I saw a number as high as $80 million to be Doctor Doom,
Incredible.
which is insane. But they are going to make, just because he's in this next Avengers movie and he is the villain, they are going to make that back in tenfold. So it actually is a good investment. I don't think people would have gone to the next Avenger movie if he was not involved, or not as many. So, but yeah, I had no clue Taylor Swift, 1.6 billion.
That's crazy. You didn't think that. I mean, she's enormous.
What do you think? So it's Swift 4, Paul McCartney 3, Rihanna 2, Jay-Z 1. Who do you think rounds out the top 5?
That's where Beyonce comes in, right?
No,
Really?
no.
Dolly Parton.
Elton John.
Oh, good one.
Billy
No.
Joel.
Billy
no,
Joel.
but you guys are poking around the right area of
Mm.
older male singers.
Ringo Starr.
No.
Springsteen.
Springsteen
Oh,
rounds out your top 5, and then 6 is Madonna, then Selena Gomez, Beyonce.
Selena
Nirvana.
Gomez with her cooking show.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure she's making a lot of money off of that.
I mean, look at Trisha Yearwood. She's making a lot of money off her cooking show.
Trisha Yearwood's on a cooking show?
I
Yeah.
watched both of those.
Oh, God, Josh.
Like Trisha Yearwood's cooking show is actually really good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is,
It's just
uh,
Southern cooking.
Yeah.
Does Garth Brooks show up on there?
I think maybe in like 2 episodes he's been in.
Hey,
Like, it's-
Garth is here.
Yeah. I make this for Garth. He
Do
loves it.
do call him Baton Rouge. No, thank you. I don't have the rights to that.
But she kind of took over the Food Network with Southern Cooking when the one lady,
Paula
Dean.
Dean,
Yeah.
she got axed.
What happened to her?
She ran into some legal trouble.
Yeah. that's another
really?
one, too. They
Yeah.
wasn't there like a Rachel too? Like
Rachel
not
Ray.
Rachel Ray, but like there was another woman there too. She was very pretty. That was on after Paula.
Mm. Connor, I'll put it to you like this.
Yeah, what'd she do?
Paula Dean hated the Super Bowl halftime show.
And she got in legal trouble for that?
No, no.
But in that area?
In that realm,
Okay.
She got in life trouble.
I got you.
words you might say.
Well, let's check it out.
Well,
when you hate the
what
Super
is
Bowl
her net
halftime
worth? How
show.
much do you think those cooking people are making?
Oh yeah, good question.
Well,
That
what happened?
probably way too much.
Hey, so what?
Guy Fieri net worth
Well, and he's got
100 million.
offshoots everywhere.
Yeah,
What? So didn't the original Man vs. Food guy get canceled?
No, he got fat and quit.
yeah. He quit. He
But
said
now
this
he's
is
back.
an untenable
Adam
lifestyle.
Yeah, but
Richmond.
now he's lost weight. Yeah, Matt's right.
He's
He-
back. He's
he's
made a
kinda
return.
back, yeah.
He's now on like the History Channel
Yeah.
because he's like a genius who can like has a photographic memory, which is why he got like the job. He does this great bit where he does like the Man v Food intro, but like with location A and signature dish 1 and location B. Like it's really good.
You can
He
leave
was
the
on-
food game, but the food game don't leave you. That's what
Yeah.
I always say.
He did. I used to wind down.
That was a
I used to
must-watch
watch.
show.
Oh, Man v Food was awesome.
And now they got some other guy doing it who
Oh.
they do it completely different.
Well, that was like
Oh my God, Paula Dean cheese. Don't say that.
Is it? I haven't.
In
I
a
didn't-
court
I-
deposition, Dean said she had used that word before. Yes, of course, she said when a lawyer asked, per TMZ.
Do you think Hulk Hogan
Yes,
caters
of
with
course.
Hulk Hogan caters with Paula Dean?
Heard you do great work, brother.
Hey, brother, can I have some Brussels sprouts, brother?
Yes, of course. Interesting.
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Seth Rollins went down Radio Row at the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
saying that the wrestling fans, that's the greatest thing you've ever done is booing Hulk Hogan.
Seth Rollins
I was
isn't
like,
afraid to bury people.
Well, I was like, yeah, you know what? Wrestling fans know what's up.
you do know what's up. He should have been booed, and he should be booed every single time he comes out. And then you know what's going to happen. He's going to come out next time to the NWO music and like going to be, playing like the heavyweight title, and everyone's going to cheer him because they think, oh my God, it's so cool. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he turned heel. Holy crap. Like that's what's going to happen.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. I mean, nothing turns you back to face than good old fashioned nostalgia.
Are you ready for tonight?
Yeah, I'm fired up. It's huge.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm okay. I'll figure it out.
You've never had a moment bigger in your life.
Do you guys have a rehearsal?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh my God. You should. You definitely should.
I'll probably get there and I'll say, where's Miss Panda's dressing room? And, have a chat. And
can I get you a bubbly water?
You knock on her door. Miss Panda. Yes, Diet Coke, please.
Miss
Diet Coke.
Miss Panda.
Miss Panda.
No, we'll be okay. I think. I think
can
I'm
you
okay.
bring a bowl and get a bowl autograph, please?
I'll see. Do I really want to bring one of my bowls to have her autograph it?
Yes.
Are you going to miss it? Is your wife going to miss a bowl?
Is she even going to know?
I mean, we have a lot of bowls. They're all the same.
What if I gave you a bowl too? Could you bring that bowl as well?
I think I'm going to ask, if I do this, I will ask for one singular bowl.
How about 2 bowls?
Right there in between those 3, 16, 20 the zone signs right there.
I mean,
perfect.
If you were going to think big, you'd bring in a unicycle, but I get a bowl would be better.
Yeah. I don't want to go to. Well, I don't even know where I would get a unicycle around here anymore.
Maybe Chris will
Nobby's
bring one
is
from
gone.
New Orleans.
Yeah, there you go.
Is he back today? He's got to be.
He'll be popping in.
You could go to Nobby's and get a unicycle.
Well, I figured that would be the place to get a unicycle, but Nobby's is dead.
Good question this time. Where would you go to get a unicycle? I would imagine like Trek.
It would have
been the Trek store.
It would have been Nobby's for sure. Bike Masters is gone too.
Yeah, it's a motorcycle
Where would you
shop.
put like what would you do with a unicycle other than put it in the shed or like have it right away in the garage?
Do you think they have unicycles at Bike Masters? Well, what would I do with a unicycle? I don't know. I'd probably try to learn it for a little while and then quit.
What's the difference between a pogo stick and a unicycle? What is it?
Pogo stick.
A pogo stick and a unicycle is of the same elk in the fact that like you just you're gonna bounce around on it for a little bit, then I'm gonna be like, all right, good enough, and you'll never touch it for years.
I never got good at the pogo stick.
I'd never been on a pogo stick.
Really?
No.
I have a bike shop in Elkhorn that has a unicycle. What do you guys think a unicycle runs?
$275.
That's a good guess.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's pretty much exactly right.
Yeah. Wow, nice job.
Good game.
Have you looked into this?
No, I've never been like, how can I make myself different? Yeah, a unicycle.
You got a side gig?
Albino Tornado writes in on Twitter. You have to look up the Garth Brooks Breakfast Bowl from Trisha Yearwood.
Okay.
Was this a trick question?
Let's see.
This
is my computer.
Oh no, it's a recipe on Food Network.
I bet it has some sort of weird it's got eggs, but then it probably has like a waffle with syrup in it as well.
Garth Brooks Breakfast Bowl recipe from Trisha Yearwood. Wow.
Definitely has like some sort of sweet element that
in
makes
a large
different.
skillet, melt the butter and scramble the eggs. In a separate large skillet, cook the hash browns according to package directions. In a third skillet, three skillets, break up the sausage with a wooden spoon and cook until brown. Remove with a slotted spoon and transfer to a bowl. Cook the bacon in the bacon skillet until crispy. Drain them on paper towels. Cook the tortellini according to the package directions
for breakfast.
Wow,
you're gonna go right back to bed after this.
What a twist!
The Garth Brooks Breakfast Bowl is too much for me.
What is that, like 1,800 calories? What are we working with?
Sausage, bacon, 3 skillets, tortellini. You kidding me?
Is there like maple syrup on top or something?
Calm down, Garth.
Yes, like that. It's called a lead pipe bowl. Yeah. It'll feel in your stomach.
You down.
That and an Arby's sandwich.
I'm just finishing off another breakfast casserole right now. I'm on my 3rd in the last 4 weeks. Dude, wow. I should send that to Trisha Yearwood. Make this for Garth.
I don't
see if he
I don't
likes
think that's how that works. Like I think people send the recipe. They don't actually send the finished product. Like you put it in the mail and you send it to
Trisha, guess what? I use 5 skillets for this.
I'll make a breakfast casserole on a Sunday and then I'll just have it for 4 days afterwards. And that's breakfast. That way I don't have to stop at Amigos on the way into work. It's worked out very well.
It's very efficient of you.
It is. It is.
Never had Amigos.
I should check it out.
I should.
It's good. You get the Jeff
Oh, you
Sims
never had
meal.
Amigos?
Schmeegs.
Whoa.
We had too many and this is no like shade on Amigos or anything like that. I just lived close to other like Mexican restaurants in which it was just I could literally walk to numerous Mexican restaurants.
But not Fuzzies.
But not Fuzzies. Not Fuzzies. Fuzzies was gone before I was there.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Right. Well, you guys have a great day.
Have fun. We'll be watching you tonight in person.
On person?
Yes.
You'll be there?
We'll both be there.
Now, okay, so by the way, a couple things from the chat from earlier. So your dad, Old Man Doug's taking you to the game?
No.
Okay.
No.
He did look like your dad
He
in that picture. That was really funny.
alphaed me.
That was pretty funny.
He looked a lot bigger and a lot like just stronger than me.
And then I
looked
got
like a little boy next to him.
And then we got this comment. Turned on my car this morning, and first thing I heard was Matt saying he hopes Connor fails tremendously tossing bowls to Red Panda.
I didn't say
You
fail
didn't?
tremendously. I said
Fail
that
regularly?
I am all for content, and there was a part of me that would like you to see hit Red Panda in the face with a bowl.
Oh, she'll
and
catch
just
it.
watch.
That's where I'm aiming.
Chaos ensue. So yeah, there's 97% of me that wants you to do well, and there's that 3% where I'm like, man,
It's not
it'd be
about me.
funny if he failed. It'd be funny if you failed. It'd be really funny.
I would take it pretty hard, probably.
You'd be walking in the studio the next day.
I'd be despondent. It'd be a bad deal.
Would you
for
be
me.
gone for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I have to retire. I'm sorry. Never doing this again. All right. Thanks, guys. That's the crossover.
Have fun tonight.
Ever Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. It's Tuesday. We'll start things off next.
It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620, The Zone.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. How we doing today? Josh, you got your Mighty Ducks jersey on. What is that symbolizing?
Symbolizes that it's cold outside. And
holy crap. Winter is back.
Yeah, with a vengeance.
And are we finally, at some point in the next 24 hours, are we finally going to see the first time emergence of the year of Mount Happer in the parking lot?
Sure seems that way.
Haven't even seen it grow at all this year. Nothing. Barely a trace. The plows have not been through our parking lot yet. Maybe that will happen this evening into tomorrow. Jeff writes in, props to Josh and the jersey. I'm super jealous.
Oh, thank you. Who was that, Jeff?
Yeah, it was Jeff. Shut that thing off, Josh. Let's turn around. Do a spin. You got a spinny chair.
But I have corded headphones.
That's okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Josh he had to bring out his best today because he wants to look good for his close personal friend.
You know, we got friends in town.
What's our level of confirmation on that, by the way? How we feeling?
75%.
He knows his way here.
Yeah.
He knows where he's going. He doesn't have people either. I don't know how he he just takes an Uber, I would guess.
I will say I don't know if this is in person or on the phone. I should probably figure that out.
You don't know if it's in person or on the phone?
Yeah. I don't know what his plan is.
Well, did you ask?
No, I just wanted to know if he could join us.
Well,
it's so rarely an option to have someone join us in studio.
But you didn't ask hey, are you coming in?
You coming in? Or are we gonna do this on the phone?
I was kind of planning on him coming in. All right. Well, we'll sort through that at some point in the next 2 hours.
I got time.
As Frank Caliendo is scheduled to join the show in some form or fashion today, and tentatively, I guess would be the word that I would use. But he's just here for the Creighton game. He's not doing a show.
Yeah, there's not a show attached to this.
He's coming back in May to actually do comedy, but he's just here for the Creighton game. So that will be the topic of the conversation, I imagine, today. How did you become such a big Creighton basketball fan?
First question.
Yeah. And what happened? What led to this? He's, like I said, he's going to end up at more Creighton basketball games than a lot of Creighton basketball fans this year. And definitely has seen more. I mean, he was in the one game at Vegas. He was at the one game in Vegas, too. I was like, oh, we were watching on the screen at the Circa Sportsbook.
Oh, that's right.
And we're like, oh, my God, it's Josh's close personal friend, Frank Caliendo. He's just in the stands hanging out with the Creighton people. This is awesome.
He loves this team.
We got to get down there. All right, so we will sort through that and have some fun and laughs at 12:30 today. Allan Bell will join the show at 11:30. Jacob Bigelow at 1. That's the lineup, powered by the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Would love to hear from you all today. There was some pandas and some bowls in the chat.
Yeah,
keep sending those in. That's good. That's
pandas
on theme.
And bowls.
That's on theme for today. So send those in on YouTube. You could watch us there. Tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer, at producer_Josh. If you would like to be a close personal friend of Josh Hodson, tweet at producer_Josh.
Yeah, I got plenty of room.
Email Connor, Josh O, 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Retake banking personally. And did I mention you could call or text 402-951-1620? Either text, call. We'll see them. We'll see them all. We'd like to hear from you all today. It's a big day here in Omaha. Hell in a Cell, round whatever. Dollar Beer Night, Dan Hurley, Red Panda, Stripe Out. It's all coming together.
It's a lot of separate things. We're really just throwing everything at the wall tonight.
Creighton's ranked. UConn's not. If you would have told me that a couple weeks ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? And here we go. So we'll talk about Creighton and UConn tonight. Late tip after 8 o'clock. at the CHI Health Center, but I would argue that that's probably the best possible scenario for those of you who are looking to imbibe in dollar beverages before the game. I miss those days, Josh. No longer can I participate in dollar beer night, but I still have the know-how. You hop in line, you get your beers, you double fist them, you go immediately to the back of the line, you drink those beers while you're in line, you get 2 more beers. Beers.
Is there a host for this anymore?
Well,
Lavin went and got a job.
I haven't seen or heard about any promotion of that. I kind of thought that it was gonna be Fanta after a little while. Like Fanta was gonna be the mascot of Dollar Beer Night.
Yeah.
I don't know John Fanta's whereabouts today.
Okay.
Haven't heard from him. Maybe he'll do a tweet at some point during the show. He'll be like, "Hey, I've landed in Omaha. It's cold. I want to go jump in the snow and die of frostbite."
Boy, it sure looks like next year Steve Lavin could probably attend.
How's he doing?
4-20 in San Diego this year.
Ouch.
Not great.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe he'll be back at some point next year. All right. So we'll get into that today. I have some thoughts I just have general thoughts on the Nebraska-Iowa athletics rivalry. It's real. It's there. Having
ready to admit it.
Oh no, I've admitted it for a long time, but I'm ready to tell you exactly why. Watched a Nebraska-Iowa sporting competition last night, and as you can see by my face in this picture that we have up, it brings out the best and the worst in all of us. Anger.
A lot of people feeling a lot of things.
The mere presence of the other team and the other color is good enough to make the blood boil a little bit. So we'll talk about that. Financial reports from the Big Ten. And I see people asking a big picture question about Matt Rule going into year 3. Are we headed for a patented year 3 for Matt Rule? Do the qualifications that have made year 3 really good for Matt Rule in his other 2 stops in college, do they apply for his 3rd year at Nebraska? I have done some spreadsheeting, Josh.
Oh?
Yep, I've done some spreadsheeting. So we will get into that during the show. The Super Bowl miraculously gets good ratings.
Now, why'd you say it like that?
Good. I'm sorry. Good. I can't say good any other way. Good ratings.
Good ratings. Great ratings.
Josh,
Some of the best.
You remember last week when Nebraska was and Matt Rule was drugged through the mud for canceling their spring game? They said, "Really, Matt Rule, you're worried about tampering your roster?" Okay. Well, guess what Ohio State did yesterday? They canceled their spring game.
Oh, interesting.
But they did not get their coach up there talking about tampering. Felt like that was interesting. Troy Dannon sits down with Andy Kendi and had some interesting things on the future of Memorial Stadium.
Andy's getting all the interviews.
Let me just say the scope of that project. Maybe we can talk about this when we come back here in a second. But do you remember the original the Trev plan?
I do remember
the Trev plan. Was, under the Trev plan, we would have blown up South Stadium already, and they'd be clearing out the debris at the moment, sure, looking to build it back better for 2026 and beyond. But we would have gone without a South Stadium for 2025. That would have cost an estimated, as they said at the time, $450 million. So when Troy Dannon took over and he inherited this, he looked at this and said, "We have to just press pause on this. I got to get my bearings about me. We got to figure this out."
I'm told I've just walked in the door and everyone has told me that they don't like it.
So what happened was he identified some other things. He identified, hey, we need to probably make this more accessible and make it more comfortable for our fans, chairbacks in the East and West Stadium. Then on top of that, there is, according to Dannon, some infrastructural, deferred infrastructure stuff that they have just put off for a long time that would estimate in the $100 to $200 million range that they just need to do. They have to do. They would have done this whether there was a plan to enhance the stadium or not. And South Stadium maybe with some Troy Dannon edits, will go on. That will still be in the plans, the plans to address South Stadium. We are looking at a large Memorial Stadium project, folks. And with a large project comes a large price tag. We'll speculate a little bit as we go on throughout the show today. Welcome to it. Once again, Allan Bell, Jacob Bigelow, and Frank Caliendo, Josh's close personal friend, all coming on the show today. It's the Connor Happer Show on a Tuesday on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, here's a tweet from @Happer Show.
Oh, no.
We'll recap another chapter in the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry.
Yep.
Preview tonight's mega matchup in the Big East between Creighton and UConn.
That's right.
And more. And then it says at 11:30, Allan Bell will join the show. At 12:30, Frank Caliendo will join the show, tentatively.
God willing.
And at 1 o'clock, Michael Bruntz will join the show. Josh.
Yes.
Can you confirm this tweet's accuracy?
I can confirm that is what the tweet says.
Yeah, but can you confirm that it is accurate information?
I can confirm that is absolutely not accurate information. It is not Thursday.
I didn't even notice it. And then Bruntz, he always catches us with he knows what we're all about here. So he catches us with a good Dumb and Dumber gif where he looks at his watch. 2:15 meet. What does it say on the wall? Meet for a
good time. Be here at midnight on March 1st or something.
Something like that. Maybe it's slightly more vulgar than that. So Michael Bruntz will not join the show.
He will not. I was reading a Nebraska baseball preview and had Michael Bruntz on the brain.
You were reading a Nebraska baseball preview.
I was skimming a Nebraska baseball preview.
Did you learn anything?
Not really. I didn't have time. Everybody was talking to me.
Well, then what was the point of reading it?
Great question, Connor. I would love to read more things, but everybody bothers me.
Oh, Josh, just shut the door.
Then it gets to be 90 degrees in my office.
Yeah. And then you got to be in on Nick's Zoom meeting.
I love that. I'm willing to do that.
Pretty fun.
It seemed like they had a good, consistent conversation with each other.
They got some stuff accomplished for sure. Hey, yesterday, Ohio State had an announcement for everybody. They had an opinion. They had a proclamation to make. Ohio State football news and updates. Spring Showcase will be Saturday, April 12th at Ohio Stadium. ... More info to come. And they'd also like to tell you that Ohio Stadium Trophy Tour tickets are available, and that the Buckeye Game Day Fan Fest is set.
Oh,
and
already?
Then they put something in quotes that says "finish on the 50." I don't know what that means. And March,
plant a flag.
They want to highlight the fact that March 3rd is the football season ticket renewal deadline. So it's quiet. It's under the radar. But yes, you heard that right. Ohio State will conclude its spring practice on April 12th. It will have the spring practice on the second Saturday in April, but they're calling it a spring showcase, opening up the possibility that Ohio State could deviate from holding a traditional spring game.
The nerve.
Of course, details are yet to come. I couldn't help but notice, Josh, that was thank you, Black Cat, for Manly Love. Be here March 25th, 2:15 a.m. sharp. That was it. That was it.
That was it. That was the one.
I couldn't help but notice the way that they announced this was a little bit different than the way Nebraska went about. You know, Ohio State and Nebraska, they can handshake meme on the fact that they get a lot of people to go to their spring games, and they're television products, and the BTN's going to carry them every year when Nebraska does a spring game, when Ohio State does a spring game. In fact, we'll dive into the financials a little bit later, but Nebraska, for all their failures and the football playing portion of these things over the last many, many years now, they are still one of the premier brands and self-sustained athletic departments in the Big Ten Conference, along with the likes of Michigan and Penn State, and I think you'd probably throw like Oregon in there as well. Wisconsin, maybe, but right, that's kind of the list. There's a handful of them, and they're the signature sort of brands of the Big Ten Conference. And so Ohio State announces this, and they're like, we're going to probably just do away with the spring game. But I couldn't help but notice there was no information given. There was no further information given. And more specifically, as we're comparing it to the case of what happened in Nebraska last week, there was no reason why that was given. That is a little bit different. Matt Rule took to the podium. Maybe just the timing was right for this because he was going to do a press conference on that day. But the news was that Dannon went on the radio like the night before, or a couple days before, and he was like, "Hey, the spring game, probably won't look the same going forward." And so the media asked Rule, "Hey, okay, is this true?" And he's like, "Yeah, and here's why: because people are tampering with our roster." as I said in the moment, I think that Matt Rule loves the ability to grandstand. When he has a take, he's going to say the take, right? And so what happened after that, and we were both amazed by this on the show, is that nationally it kind of started some conversation. I don't know about here so much locally. In fact, I've been relatively surprised, Josh, at the lack of really severe bite back on this from Nebraska fans.
Thought it would be a bigger,
given how closely they hold their traditions and stuff like that. I'm sure that there are people who are still frustrated with this and they like it the old way and whatever. But Rule said, hey, tampering is a big part of this. And then of course, there's more roster limitations now. There's injury concerns. Nebraska had 2 major injuries in the spring game last year. And I think maybe overarching all of that stuff is just, hey, we're moving into a new era and a different world of college football now. So I think this might be a good opportunity. If we were going to do away with some old traditions, here's a good time to do it. And I think that kind of carries that umbrellas over all of what Matt Rule had to say. So it doesn't surprise me that other schools around the country, including Ohio State, who's been viewed as a leader and people follow what Ohio State do. They drive, some of the direction that teams are going across the country. You want to be like Ohio State, right? So it doesn't surprise me when Ohio State says, hey, we're not going to do a spring game in the same way, that nobody has any takes about it. They're like, oh, okay. I guess.
Oh, they must know what they're doing.
Now, I was listening to, we'll jump into different parts of this throughout the show. I was listening to Dan talk with Andy Kendi. It was a good 30 plus minute long conversation. They had to sit down and Dan talked about what they're going to do on that day. Here's what he mentioned, like, hey, maybe there's like a skills challenge involved. But mainly I think the point was this is an opportunity to basically have a spring sports showcase or a Nebraska athletics showcase, right? Let's get some other teams and other athletes in here and give people a reason to show up to Memorial Stadium, and they could, enjoy their favorite players doing whatever it might be. There might be cross sport things that happen. What I don't want this to be is the Pro Bowl.
Connor, it's gonna look like it.
I don't think that anybody looked at the Pro Bowl and was like, we need to do the Pro Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Nebraska needs to find in Ohio State and whoever is going to cancel their spring game next, because it will continue to happen. They need to look around, and if they view the spring game, their spring game, and there's only a few programs that do this, they view their spring game as a moneymaker, as a revenue driver, or one of a bunch of revenue drivers, then I shouldn't say driver, but maker, whatever. That maybe you don't want to give off the idea that, hey, this is the spring game, show up like normal, but also we're going to play tug of war and touch football, and we're going to have target contests, where we throw the football around Memorial Stadium.
Oh,
that is not enough for me to have an excuse to show up to Memorial Stadium when it's probably going to be bad weather, because it's April and it's going to be 35-mile-an-hour winds, and the high temperature that day will be 52 degrees, and it won't be fun for anybody to show up and do a live skills competition. You don't have to do this. You don't, like, if Nebraska can decide that they, and Dannon said, we're not even sure if we're going to have tickets for this event. Like, we don't know what it's going to look like. That's okay then. Have your spring sports showcase, have people show up for free, and don't make it feel at all like the spring game, like it was before. Mm-hmm. Because when you make people pay to show up, then they have an expectation of things that they're going to see, or they want to make evaluations or whatever it might be. Like, don't make it anything. Have people show up for free and find other ways to recoup the revenue that you would have lost from that game.
Can that just be fan day?
Sure.
If turning it into Pro Bowl games is going to chap a lot of people's hides, which I think it would, because nobody watches that, then can't we just turn it into a big old meet and greet? I have a tweet in front of me from an hour ago.
Okay.
I guess 2 hours ago now. From Northern Illinois.
Oh, no. Have they canceled their spring game?
They have.
Are they worried about tampering?
Maybe. They beat Notre Dame. They must be pretty good, right? Their spring football schedule ends with an April 26th spring showcase.
There you go. Spring showcases are back.
That's what we're calling it now, I guess.
So Nebraska's got to sort through all this stuff, but it doesn't surprise me to see other schools around the country being like, yeah, this is a good time. We need to do away with this. And once again, I think that was the main driving force behind why Nebraska is doing away with this, not what Matt Rule said. I think what Matt Rule said was an excuse for Matt Rule to get up there and talk about how the tampering and the free market stuff is just out of control right now, which it is. And I respect that. Guy's got something to say, he says it. But those two things being connected, maybe they are in some way, but maybe they shouldn't be viewed as one problem, right? Spring game, one problem that we have to deal with. Tampering, another problem that we have to deal with. All right. 11 o'clock hour is coming up. Allan Bell will join us at the bottom of the hour to recap the Super Bowl and more. And we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Don't forget tonight, Creighton basketball at home against the University of Connecticut for Hell in a Cell. That's what we're calling it anyway. We could never come up with a snazzy new nickname for the Creighton Marquette game, but we're going to We're going to stick with this
Hell and a sack
for Creighton and UConn. Pregame coverage is really all day long, but shoot-around officially starts at, I would guess, 6 o'clock, Josh.
You nailed it.
6 o'clock right after Unsportsmanlike Conduct, and then we'll go courtside with John and Taylor at 7:30.
That's right.
And then the game, and then whatever happens after that. Probably not a court storm tonight in Omaha.
No, you're ranked. They're not.
Right.
No way.
But some beverages and some shouting.
Many a dollar beer will be consumed.
Some shouting, some waving of rally towels, things of that nature. Every seat in CHI Health Center covered with a towel. It'll be a great. When I get down to the arena, well, you'll probably see it before then. But when I get down to the arena tonight, there will be a picture, and it will look really cool. It'll look really cool. I got a DM last night asking me what color this person should wear, depending on what section they're in.
Oh wow!
Powder blue and white, striped on the, on the sides, on the sides, and then blue on the edges. And I guess I don't know what the upper bowl is going. I assume it's all navy up there. A lot going on. This is the game. This was known as the power stripe out before, and then the word power was taken out of it because it has connotations.
Those connotations have changed over the years. From the Happer Show Twitter account, we're going to tweet out the stripe formation.
Okay.
For tonight's game.
There you go. Make sure you have. I don't have much white, so if I was in one of the white sections, I don't know what I would do.
Hey, go to
I don't look good in white.
Go to Target. I see.
Rick Pitino, he's got it. I don't.
I don't like the white. I sweat, so the pits are not great.
Really? Through the white? The pits?
Well, you wash it enough times, they stain.
Okay.
Hides better on a black undershirt.
Speaking of Creighton, we got a tweet from Sam.
Hi, Sam.
When we were talking about, what to do instead of the spring game. Sounds familiar to Packers family night. They usually get close to a full capacity for a practice with a bunch of promotions and video board stuff. Look at that picture that he sent us. Looks cool.
Oh, I like pictures.
Yeah, you should click on it.
Look at that.
You should look at it. Looks like it looks like there's a bunch of people there. I mean, it's almost a full stadium.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you'd be able to turn it into that over the years, but yeah, Nebraska going a different direction. Speaking of, so we'll get back to Creighton as we go on throughout the show today. But last night, I was there was a Nebraska-Iowa sporting event. Nebraska versus Iowa. Ketchup versus mustard. This time on the women's basketball side. It was the first time Jan Jensen brought her team to Lincoln as she is the head coach. I was walking around wondering afterwards what the Big Ten protocol was going to be.
Got to be careful about that kind of thing.
But Lucy Olson was fantastic last night, as many people over the years have seen. In fact, a lot of people here in Omaha, as Villanova, she was incredible at Villanova the last couple of years, but she is hooping right now at Iowa, and they're moving in the right direction. They're starting to get some things figured out, and they kind of crushed Nebraska last night. There was some questionable officiating, like all those things. We're not going to break it down completely, but I did want to use that game as a platform to say this. Nothing gets the blood boiling still like Iowa, Nebraska. I think the rivalry has finally reached the point where, I don't know, this might have been the case for you all years and years ago. Those teams just do not like each other in anything. The mere presence, you can feel it from the other team, and if you're in the stadium or if you're watching on TV, the other team's fans, they make you feel feelings. That's a rivalry, my friends. That's really, really good. And I don't think we're doing the thing where people are like, "Oh, come on, don't say that." That's not a real rivalry. Like, we're over that conversation by now. These two teams in every sport, every time they get together, they do not like each other. And it's pretty good appointment television because of that hatred. There is something there. And of course, Iowa and Nebraska women's basketball on that side, they have some history now over the last couple of years. Nebraska beat them at home last year. But before Caitlin Clark there, I mean, it was back and forth, and they didn't like each other then. Then Caitlin Clark shows up, and they have this way about them. And that continues post Caitlin Clark. They carry themselves in a way where they feel as if they are one of the elite national brands in college basketball, in women's college basketball, or in college basketball in general. But people forget they do no longer have Caitlin Clark on their team. Although Lucy Olson was pretty good last night, and I kind of had flashbacks at one point or the other.
No.
I mean, she was getting after it. But I mainly wanted to use this as an excuse to talk about the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry for 10 seconds and just check in on this, because it feels like when they play each other in everything now, there is something to that, and it's extra. It's different. I don't think that. I don't know how, Nebraska fans certainly don't feel that way about any of the new Big Ten opponents that have come in, and then the legacy programs like how did you feel on Sunday when Ohio State came into town? Did you see that logo and we're like, I want to pee on that logo? No, I don't feel like that's the case with Ohio State. But for all the people that said, like in football, like, hey, you need to win for it to become a rivalry, I do think that's true. And it has been back and forth on the women's side, and back and forth on the men's side in basketball. And then Nebraska won in football a couple of years ago, and people don't let them forget about that. Iowa's won all these close games. The history of these two teams playing each other every year, and sometimes twice a year, if it's basketball, or I guess if it's baseball for a series or whatever, over time, it has now gotten to the point where it's real and it's there. And I think only that, like that history has bred that contempt over the last 15 years since Nebraska's been in the Big Ten. It's like, and that's one of the reasons why I prefer smaller conferences. And I think most people do prefer smaller conferences. It's fun to play fantasy football and fantasy sports when we're adding all these teams and you get these cool matchups and everything like that. But man, having that on your schedule every year, having that one team on your schedule every year, and I wish it was more than just one team that you played I wish your schedule was just the same, except for the non-con, and then you just flipped it over every year. I think that's why the Big East has something special right now. The Big East has a true round robin. They play 10 and 10 home games, 10 road games. You know exactly what you're going to get when you go to those places. You know what you're going to get when you come, when you bring in those teams. You know the coaches. They tend to stay for a while, and it's the style of basketball, the style of people that you're dealing with. It's just, you can't replicate that in a situation where you're only playing half the teams in your conference per year. It's crazy to me that we're doing this. It's not college sports. It's not college sports is what, I mean, seriously, like what the Big East is doing. And, rivalries like Nebraska and Iowa and whatever else in between. There's a bunch of them. Ohio State, Michigan play each other every single year on the same day. And what happens?
Michigan wins.
You can that, but you could throw out whatever record you think. I mean, Ohio State, they're 2 touchdown favorites. Nah, it don't matter.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
Familiarity breeds contempt.
I mean, all those little Big 8 teams, like I still kind of hate all those teams that Nebraska used to play all the time. I hate all of those Big East teams that Creighton plays. Obviously, the exception that proves the rule is whatever team Ed Cooley is deciding to coach. Respect to Ed Cooley.
It didn't sound like much respect to Ed Cooley, Josh.
Well, it's really a formality at this point.
Yeah. I think it's a real thing. And so I know that we cannot in college athletics right now see the forest for the trees. That is something in the sake of financial gain that the Big Ten and the SEC, but specifically the Big Ten, since we're calling them out, that is something that the Big Ten has just said, well, we're willing to, what does he say on Dumb and Dumber? What if he would have shot me in the head? What if you would have shot me in the face? That's a risk we were willing to take. I don't even know if they thought about that when they added all these stupid teams to the Big Ten. I like them. I'm glad you're here. Like, it's the West Coast thing is fun, but there's no consistency to it. There's no like I want the same teams here twice. You know, I want to play one out there, play one there at home, and I want this football schedule to just flip over. I like the East versus the West.
I can't muster up any feelings for Rutgers or Maryland.
I know. It's not even because they're not good either. Like, you don't see them every year, or you see them once out of every 3 years. And so now we go into the schedule in football where you're seeing, you know, you're going to flip the schedule over this year, basically, and you're adding in Penn State. You're basically seeing, outside of Iowa, Nebraska's seeing one particular opponent in a 3-year span, because you're splitting the schedule into kind of thirds, because you have 9 conference games, or you play, you know, there's 18 teams in the league, and you don't flip it over completely every single year. So once or twice in a 3-year span. It's just not, it doesn't lend itself to a college. What I hold dear to me about college athletics. That's all. And so, yeah, I enjoyed a little slice of that last night. Little slice of the old school, even though it was a tough one for Nebraska. Billy Haywood writes in.
The manager of the Twins?
That's right. Billy Haywood.
Wow.
The kid from Little Big League. Happer, how much of the game do you get to watch while working? Do you try to stay emotionally impartial? Oh, it depends on which job I'm doing. Are we talking about
PA? You're pretty locked in.
Yeah, I don't miss 1 second. And you know, you're wearing red, like you have to stay somewhat impartial because of the things that you have to say sometimes. But like, yeah, it's and while I'm at the Creighton games, I'm kind of like a sub mascot for Creighton, and so yeah, I'm pretty fired up. I'm like Shaka Smart out there. I feel like I'm in that thing. It's as close as I'm ever going to get, that's for sure. Let's take a phone call here on the hotline. Here's Scotty. Scotty, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Connor. How's it going today, you guys?
Very good.
Good. Hey, Connor, I wanted to make a comment to you. It's a compliment. When you had to fill in for John when his voice, he had a hoarse voice or something, you did a great job.
Thank you, Scotty. I appreciate that. I had the time of my life.
Oh, you did a great job, I thought, for a first-time calling. Listen, Connor, I'm an old hippie of the 60s, but I love basketball. I played in grade school, high school, and a lot of street ball and stuff. And I'm telling you right now, this is my prediction. John is going up to the big time with Kevin Kugler and Nick Baugh, and you're going to want to be calling the game. And Stormberg, he's a great color guy. I like him. He's really good at the color.
What a prediction, Scotty. What a prediction. Should we put that on the board for you?
Going to the big time, and that's coming soon. It won't be long.
Okay, Scotty. Thank you for the call.
He's the best radio announcer in the country.
He's so good.
Sirius Radio, and I'll listen to other games and the other announcers. He's the best in the country.
He's so good.
I'm telling you, and I've listened to many, many games on the radio. I'm a radio guy. I'm not a TV guy. I like to listen to games on the radio.
God bless you, Scotty. What a call.
Hey, go Jays. Let's beat those Huskies again.
All right. See you tonight, Scotty. Perfect. That was awesome.
Scotty with a big prediction.
Scotty, has Scotty not called in? I don't think Scotty's called into this show before. I don't think I've heard from Scotty. Yeah. That's pretty good stuff. John's going to the big time.
Big time.
John's going to the big time. No, John will be the voice of the Jays as long as John wants to be the voice of the Jays. El Scorcho writes in,
hi, El Scorcho.
Can we get Scotty on once a week? Scotty, you feel free to call in anytime you want, man.
Yeah.
The open invite.
Got a line open for you.
Line open for you all as well. Anyone who'd like to call into the show, and you could be like Scotty and just send out we'll put Scotty's prediction. We'll write it down somewhere.
Yeah,
John's going to the big time with Kevin Kugler.
Now, I guess that's a little vague.
Well, the big time is the big time.
Yeah.
I mean,
is this not the big time?
It's big time for some.
Yeah.
Put Scotty on the board, Royce says.
Everybody loves Scotty.
I love Scotty's energy. He's a 1960s hippie, but he loves basketball.
Yeah.
You just don't hear that a lot.
We don't have Bill Walton anymore. Maybe Scotty can graduate to be America's Bill Walton.
Now that is a good idea.
A hippie who loves basketball.
We get Scotty on the call.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Scotty for co-host of the show.
3-man booth downtown tonight. John Taylor and Scotty.
Scotty. Let's go to our sideline reporter, Scotty. Oh, I love this, Connor. This is so good.
These kids are drunk.
Sam writes in,
Hi, Sam.
We cannot call into the show like Scotty. None of our first calls would be like Scotty. John writes in on the text line. Scotty definitely knows. Scotty knows. The song goes, Scotty doesn't know. But in this case, Scotty most certainly knows. Anyway, thank you for the call. And thank you for the compliments. And Scotty does indeed know. And anyway, we were talking about something completely different, but now that conversation's over.
You think the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry is over?
No, the conversation about the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry is over. I just hate it. I don't like what we've become in college sports. That's not a new topic for anybody. It's sort of an evergreen topic. But I thought last night watching Nebraska and Iowa lock horns for a couple hours, that was like there was something extra there. I felt it. I don't feel it hardly ever anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it at Nebraska games anymore, and I think it's because of this gigantic, stupid, idiotic conference. I feel it at Creighton games. I do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Big East really, like, the Big East has its limitations, right? It's like it's a basketball-only conference.
Mm-hmm.
But what they've created for themselves with the true round robin, I think is really special. And it breeds all of the stuff that I was talking about before. It's really hard to do in the gigantic Big Ten. And it feels like every 2 years, I'm trying to get familiarized with these new teams that have joined the league. And who's next? Notre Dame's coming in the conference or something like that. I got to get up, and it won't be hard to hate Notre Dame the first time they come here. But then, all right, well, we got Notre Dame, and our conference schedule is Oregon and Washington, and there's Iowa in there, but then there's also UCLA and Rutgers and Ohio State.
And the inverse of that is true too, where it's like, okay, you're not on the schedule for 2 years. I don't have to pay attention to you.
Exactly.
I don't have to do any reading or watching you.
I really missed Minnesota this year.
Yeah.
I thought that was a big hole, and they're back.
I don't know what was happening up there all year.
They're back on the. Well, I guess we would have to ask Josh Peterson, who went to all of the Minnesota games apparently. This
big gopher hunk.
But you're right. What were they up to this year? I've heard good things, but I don't have to be locked into what PJ Fleck is up to.
Yeah,
that goes away for a year.
And his new face,
it's gone. Speaking of going away and coming back,
us
in a minute, but also going away and coming back, Mike Eckler.
He's back.
Mr. E. He has returned. He says, I'm excited about the opportunity /challenge to go home and work with Coach Rule and to help Husker football win and share the experience my parents and extended family. Time to go get a bunch of these #RLD real live dudes. And then he puts a picture of Will Compton and Levante David in the background, and then a picture of him yelling at Levante David but it's also a very small and low quality picture that he got off of Google. Right. I want to be there when Mike Eckler crafts one of these tweets one day. I think Mike Eckler, like, remember in the Bo era when the coaches were all doing Twitter and we were doing booms and everything, and it was all such low quality. Like, none of it was made. They didn't, like, now they have a whole graphics department and they just send them out to the coaches, or they just tweet them for them. It's like, I'm out to see some dogs on the road in Texas today. And it's like a whole cool graphic of a plane flying into Dallas or something like that. No, back in the day, it was the weird GIFs that your mom uses. I think we're back, baby. I'm thinking we're back.
I like that Mike Eckler's name on Twitter is Mike Eckler At Husker Football.
That's his name, not his at.
Yeah.
Mike Eckler at Husker Football.
Yeah.
What is his what's his handle? At Coach Eckler UT.
Might want to change that.
I don't think he's going to change that.
I don't think he is.
I think that's just
I don't think he knows how.
I think that's going to stay right there.
One of the players is going to have to help him change that.
Officially announced today was Mike Eckler. Matt Rule says Mike Eckler brings a history of special teams excellence to Nebraska. His work with Tennessee's special teams has been elite. Regardless of what statistics you look at over the last 4 years, Tennessee special teams have been at or near the top in the nation. Mike's energy and true passion for special teams carries over to the players on his units, and that will have a positive impact on her program. Of course, Eck is a Blair Bear, a former Blair Bear, and a Kansas State University Wildcat. And, of course, was here in the Bo era from 2008 to 2010, helping Nebraska to a pair of Big 12 championship game appearances. Remember conference championship games, Josh?
Yeah, I do.
So Nebraska's officially announced this hire today, but more importantly, I will be watching whatever is going on with Mike Eckler's Twitter going forward. And
that's a pretty quick follow.
If you Google, if you do Google images of Mike Eckler, Nebraska, it's just a long line of him shouting. I imagine if you Googled Bo Pelini, Nebraska, you would find a lot of the exact same thing. I mean, his mouth is open in 85% of the pictures.
Did you go? You Googled Mike Eckler, Nebraska, and then clicked on images?
Yeah.
I would like to point everyone to the third photo.
Yeah. His mouth is as open as it can be.
He is wearing a Nebraska polo where the N is the American flag.
Yeah.
It is a moment in time. That photo.
It was definitely 2008, all right.
The khakis are pleated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's another picture on here that he's wearing a visor. He's got the khakis, and he's got the old Nebraska Adidas stuff. I mean, it's beautiful. So I think the Bo era is just a little slice of the Bo era. I think the program needed this a little bit.
A little sliver.
Yep. Not a bad thing at all. All right, we're back with Allan Bell coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Allan Bell, the AB3, on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Football is dead. But this is where you really have an opportunity to thrive if you are equipped with the right information. We're joined now on the phone by Allan Bell of Driving the Line. AB, hello. How are you?
Hello, my good friend. How we doing, buddy?
Excellent. Is there a level of excitement to to remove football from the list and from the betting sheets and everything all the information that we have to put together and really dive into whatever else is out there as we move into the blank portion of the sports calendar?
So, all right, yes and no. All right, so yes, for everyone that's in sports media, because look, when there's no football, it stinks, but my God, it's a long season. Like, everybody deserves a little bit of a break, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, here's the great thing. College baseball starts Friday. It starts Friday, baby. So we're jumping right into it, man. I can't wait.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say college baseball starts Friday.
We're here. Hey, we're going from the Super Bowl to Tennessee Hofstra. Let's go, baby.
By the way, quick shameless self-plug. Tomorrow on the show regarding college baseball, we will have a special announcement. Just going to put that out there. Anyway.
Ooh.
AB, 4 years you've been coming on this show. 4 years we've had an opportunity to bet the Super Bowl together. And 4 years we bet the punts over. And I believe each of those 4 years we've not only got the bet right, but we've nearly hit and had our money back in our pocket by about halftime. And this most recent Super Bowl was another example of that.
It's incredible, isn't it? Right? Like, these are two teams that never punted this year, and it just goes to show it's such a different game. And, sometimes you have to look at different bets. And I'm glad that the sports books are like, well, we got a weird rash of punt bets coming in. We don't know where these are coming from. But it's awesome, man. I love it. I'm glad that we got to do it. This is our Christmas right here. It's betting punts at the Super Bowl.
It really is. It's a lock for me every year, and I'm going to bet it until it doesn't hit, and then at that point, I'm still going to probably bet it the next year. That's
yep, 100%. This is a tradition passing on to kids.
That's exactly right. Outside of the fact that it was boring and not particularly fun, how did you turn out, and how did you enjoy the Super Bowl on Sunday?
Yeah, so obviously the game was what it was. That did okay. Saquon Barkley not scoring, hurt me, probably hurt everybody. I'm sure.
Yes.
I can't even imagine the amount of parlays that busted up, but props wise, like, a lot of stuff came through, like both teams have scored 20 plus points. That last bomb, to Worthy was huge. Jalen Hurts scoring a touchdown. That was big. It's weird that, like, when you have a blowout, props usually get busted up. Like, the normal props, like Saquon, obviously none of his props, came through except receptions. Somehow we got over in passing yards in both the guys. But
yeah, amazing.
I did okay in some areas, but I got hurt in some other ones. Like, what about you guys? I'm sure that most people are probably pretty similar.
I bet the game completely wrong.
What'd you have?
I had the Chiefs to win and cover.
Like, how do you not? You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep going. Like,
yeah, it's like it's gonna be a close game, and I think the Chiefs are gonna win. That's pretty much what the thing that I went off of. But then inside of that, I actually turned out really, really well. I used some of the things that we had talked about the entire season. Both quarterbacks would throw an interception. And my big one, the big odds one that I needed to come through. Well, I didn't need it to come through, but that I got to come through was I went out on a limb. The Philly defense scoring a touchdown. And so my boy, Cooper DeJean, on his 22nd birthday, came through for me and scored a touchdown. And really that put me over my mark where I needed to be. It was lovely.
I bet that were nice odds on that.
650, I think it was.
Nice. Well done on that one.
It was
Great
beautiful.
job.
Okay, how bad did you feel for the people who had Jahan Dotson first touchdown at like astronomical odds and was a yard short.
Yeah, like that was brutal. And then I looked up and I was like, oh, Jalen Hurts or Saquon's going to score this one, and the books are going to get hurt.
Yep.
On that one. But yeah, everybody that had Dotson, I mean, oh, dude, you would just be, I didn't have it, obviously, but if I did, man, I would have been sick to my stomach. Like, oh, no,
Yep.
That's brutal, man.
I think Josh was on the other side of that coin. Josh had Hurts' first touchdown score.
Nice.
He was like, all right, cool. I guess that worked out for me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple game things. First of all, Hurts was good, and Hurts was like the stats started getting put on in the second half, and it opened up a little bit for him. And he had 70 plus yards rushing, and he had a touchdown. And so I'm not saying that he is an undeserving MVP, but when we think about that game, and like in a couple years, the story will be the Eagles defense. The Eagles defense was dominant. Like, you can't give the MVP to an entire defensive line, but you could give it to a guy like Josh Sweat. I was interested, like, that there wasn't more of a conversation about who should have or should not have been the MVP in that game. That was a blowout pretty much all the way.
Yeah, but completely agree. Like, what the heck else do defenders need to do? That guy had like 37 sacks. You had, a safety or corner that had a touchdown. Like, and then we're not even talking about him. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it, man. It's a quarterback award. And I totally get it, because you are, kind of guiding and leading the entire thing. But, yeah, like, this was a defensive win. And that's not taking away from the Eagles' offense, right? But I'm with you, man. Like, it just goes to show. Same thing as, like, regular season MVP. Like, yep. I'll say here in Nashville, like, I watched Derrick Henry run for, over 2,000 yards. All right. Something that at that time only 8 people in the history of life have ever done. He didn't even make the top 3.
Crazy.
MVP. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, this is never going to happen. So.
Well, this was the year that, Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards, and he was like passingly mentioned in the conversation behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Like, if you can run for 2,000 yards, and like you said, there's only a handful of people who have ever done that, and still not win the MVP in your season or really not sniff it, that tells you something about how we should think about these things. And I think it boils down, like it trickles all the way down to things like Super Bowl MVP too. We're just like, yeah, when there's nobody else, if there is nobody else, we're just going to give it to the quarterback because nobody's going to be really angry at that. And that's what it ended up being.
Absolutely. And then it's like, okay, well, you look at it from a betting perspective. We even, said this last week. It was like, just look at Mahomes, Hurts, and Saquon. Like, that's it. Kelsey's not going to, like, the Chiefs can win by 1,000. Kelsey ain't going to get it. You know what I mean? Like, just only bet quarterbacks. And again, it's easy to do, and I totally get it. But I'm with you, man. Like, if you score a touchdown as a defender in the Super Bowl, buddy, like, what else I don't know what else I can do,
Did you ever think that result, and maybe we talked about this last week in the pre-show, did you ever think that result was like on the table, that it was possible that the Eagles could just blow up the Chiefs that way? I mean, really, when you think about it, it was pretty much over. I know it was only 7-0 after the first quarter, but it felt over very, very early. Did you ever think that result was on the table?
I mean, with these two teams, that result is always on the table. Like, they could do it to each other, but no. Like, I didn't think so. Like, it felt like, you remember that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, where it was like, play one, Manning's falling down, fumble, game over. Like, it felt like that. No. And here's what we also have to do now, too, is that, dude, what the Chiefs did during the season, because, like, it kind of got shown, like, the areas where they were just beaten up. Like, their offensive line, like, all year, they had been smoke and mirrors. And I mean that positively. Like, my God, how good Patrick Mahomes is, how good this, that coaching staff is. Like, to win that many games with a lot of glaring issues. And the Chiefs just looked old. You know what I mean? Like, they just looked old. And they kind of are. And again, I'm not saying that negative. I'm saying it as, dude, this is a very serious and well-coached, well-played football team. For them to do what they did and win so many tight games this year, because it looked like two completely different teams. But no, man, I didn't think that it would be like that. I thought the Eagles could win, but not like that.
Yeah, well, and I'm not. You don't want to read too much into like the body language or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just never. I never felt like the Chiefs approached it, and this is kind of to your point, Alan. That's the way that they had sort of approached their business all year. It's like, hey, we're the Chiefs, and we're going to find out a way to win this, and we don't need to be like, we don't need to be, the most excited team going into the game or anything like that. But they had those shots on Mahomes, and he just looked dead. I mean, like in the first quarter, and I just thought, man, that is really odd with a chance to finish off a three-peat. At the same time, I mean, they were beat down and they didn't really have a chance to win the game. So I don't know. I can't really blame them.
No, and you're right. And it's like, you could see it on Mahomes' face where he was like, oh, God. Like, I've got no O-line. DeAndre Hopkins isn't even running to the ball. We can't run the football. Like, this is going to be hell on earth. I felt bad for the guy, man. Even with all the rings and all the success, and I like Patrick Mahomes. He seems like a great dude. Like, I saw you like what you were just saying. Like, we all looked at him, and we knew that he knew that we knew that it was like, buddy, this ain't happening tonight. It's not going down for you tonight, man.
Okay, so what are you getting into now? I mean, what's first thing on the docket is college baseball. Are you dabbling in any college basketball? What's up next?
Yeah, so I'll say this, man. NBA, Jimmy Butler. Okay, I've got a theory here, and it's working out so far. When you are at a job that you hate, and then you go to one that you love, all right, you want to go in blue-collar mentality, okay? And you're like, I just want to be part of the team. I'm with you guys. And what I mean by that, rebounds and assists. Jimmy Butler is getting foul calls as well, all right? He's got 20 points in both games so far with the Warriors. He's got even more free throw attempts, getting rebounds, assists, man. Bet those. He's absolutely crushing them. And Luka, yeah, like he's going to come out firing threes for sure. He didn't have a good one last night. He had some points, but next game, threes. So I like NBA, I like props. And college basketball, man, it's really tough. It's really, really hard. Like I'm big on Creighton tonight.
Here we go.
Against UConn. Yeah, man. We're big on Creighton. Creighton's a great team, and they're a lot of fun. And UConn, even though it's dangerous, because UConn's reeling for sure, and you never want to face UConn like that, but I think Creighton handles their business, man.
It'll be
college basketball. Yeah, good.
It'll be a dangerous atmosphere in Omaha tonight. So, Alan, I don't know. I don't know if this will affect your betting or whatever, but I'll tell you this: it's dollar beer night, and it's UConn, and UConn has trouble beating Creighton historically. And the last time that UConn was here, UConn was number one, and Creighton, beat them, and they stormed the floor and everything. And Dan Hurley got yelled at, and it's a late tip. There's just a lot of things that are going to be up for grabs tonight in Omaha. So whatever that means for you.
Well, what it means is we're betting the mortgage tonight, baby. Let's go, Creighton all night. I love it, man. Creighton's like that. They're a fun team to watch. And dollar beer night.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. So it's a long wait to get there. We're just biding our time at this point. AB, we'll let you go. Appreciate it as always. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, you too, brother. Thank you so much, man. Take care.
Allan Bell. You can find his stuff driving the line, Twitter at Allan G. Bell. There will be some college baseball stuff that just appears. It's like, what? This is happening? That's right. AB's on top of it.
And he knows his stuff. He's not like, oh, this is up on the calendar. This is what I'm supposed to be betting. This is like a passion of his.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
He is in the nitty gritty of college baseball.
A text from the 760.
Hi, 760, wherever that may be.
It's in California.
California way.
If the Chiefs win and their defense was as dominant as expected, Mahomes would have still been the MVP. So give Hurts credit he deserves leading that dominant performance. Yeah, like I got that a couple times. There was the one guy who tweeted us who was like, are you going to shut up about Hurts already? Like he was good. I'm like I said, I have no problem with him winning the MVP. I'm just saying if we ever want a non-quarterback to win the MVP in the Super Bowl again, either it's going to have to be a historically bad offensive game or the defensive person will just have to make the game-winning play or whatever it might be, something like that. So I have no problem with Hurts winning it, and he was really good. I don't want to take credit away from what he did. He was really good.
Almost 300 all-purpose yards, 3 total touchdowns.
Yeah. When they needed, there was a couple times where I felt like the Chiefs were really sinking into what they were doing on defense, even though that they couldn't figure out anything offensively, and that was the main storyline of the game. That the Chiefs were really sinking into things on defense, and they were bottling up Saquon, and they would get to third down, and they would just make a play. And it was usually with Hurts on the ground or Hurts making a throw. So absolutely, yeah, give credit to him. All right, we'll be back. Josh has the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
That's right. It's time for the odd news. Josh, what do we have in the holster today?
Well, I'm going to start and end today's odd news with a Super Bowl story. Let's begin with Harrison Butker's no good, very bad day.
He didn't do anything.
He did not.
He was not allowed on the field.
He was not allowed on the field, as if the team told him to, stay in one area of the house and never leave. Just stay there. Because that's his job, is to stay over there.
Nice, Josh.
Just for a comparison point. He was also left without his clothes after the game.
Oh, no. He was robbed?
He was robbed.
I was robbed.
The kicker's locker was positioned near to that of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why that matters here in this situation.
Yeah.
Following the game.
So are they insinuating that they robbed the wrong person?
You know what? maybe that is what they're insinuating here, because Harrison Butker's locker was cleaned out, and here it is. His locker was empty, and the kicker speculated that a team staffer must have mistaken his suit for Mahomes because his suit wasn't anywhere to be found. Because
lost a whole suit.
I'm just remembering this in real time. Patrick Mahomes wore
the green
suit, which
go Birds.
He could not wear after the game.
No.
The kicker faced quite a bit of backlash, according to this article. I don't know what that means.
Backlash
I don't know.
for getting his clothes stolen?
No, for other stuff this year. But he had a suit stolen, and he just had to sit there in his towel while.
Well, I for one feel horrible for Harrison Butker.
Yeah, just feel really bad for that.
What
guy.
A story!
Mm-hmm.
Is one of these stories regarding Joel Klatt's take?
No, would you rather do that? I think it might be funnier than my last story.
Just throw that in there right now.
Okay. Joel Klatt.
Yep.
We know him. We love him. One of the preeminent voices in college football. He did not care for the
halftime show,
the Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
Many people don't.
That's right. And they are not shy about telling it to you, even though they said they'd never watch the NFL again. Joel Klatt has a new idea for Super Bowl halftime. How about a 10-minute set from Nate Bargatze? He tweeted yesterday.
So now, before we jump all over our dear friend Joel, let's think about this for a second. Will there ever be a space in time to reimagine the Super Bowl halftime show? Right? To tear it down to its studs and do something completely different? Now, I don't.
Boy, that would take a lot of stones.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think you would start with Nate Bargatze.
Well, I mean, it's got to be somebody family friendly. Like, it can't be.
Does it?
Yeah, it's.
But I'm saying, take away the it doesn't have to be music anymore.
Okay.
Do we go straight to comedians, and do we throw Nate Bargatze up there and do a set? Let's ask Frank Caliendo about this.
Okay, great idea.
Yeah,
by you, Connor Happer.
Yeah. Let's see if he would do it.
Yeah.
Would you ever do the Super Bowl halftime show?
I mean, you would do it for the exposure, right? If they asked.
Asked. Yeah.
It's,
I don't know. It could go bad.
It's not on the performer to go, I don't know, guys. That seems like a pretty terrible idea.
That's right. That's right. If they ask, you say yes. Might be a bad idea for a certain person to throw bulls at Red Panda, but I'm not going to say no.
Right. Because they asked.
Yeah.
Platcat does point out that, yes, Kendrick Lamar not very family friendly. So maybe it doesn't. Maybe it can be Nikki Glazer.
Now, I don't know.
No?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's ever going to be a time and a place to reimagine the Super Bowl halftime show. I just think we're going to stay on this track and we're going to continue on it for a while now.
Truck spill of the week. California Highway Patrol officers were left playing a game of pickup sticks when a truck spilled its load of chopsticks onto the highway.
Chopsticks.
The
Not quite as messy.
Right.
But difficult to pick up.
Definitely.
Because you can't really scoop them, right?
No. I think you got to go and
you have to probably broom them.
Pick them up. Yeah, broom them into a big pile.
You broom them into a pile.
Yeah. California Highway Patrol said on social media that officers responded to a report of a traffic hazard on I-580 near the Redwood Road exit and found chopsticks all over the road. Turns out someone turned the freeway into a giant game of pickup sticks, the Post said. Unfortunately, this means a local restaurant might be short on utensils tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
Ouch.
And then the last story I had, which streaming service lagged the least during Super Bowl Sunday?
So I didn't, before you get into this,
sure.
I was watching in 4K because, as we've talked about, I'm very rich. And
yes.
I could pay the $8 a month it takes to get 4K.
Wow.
At least for the Super Bowl. I think I'm probably going to cancel it over the summer until football comes back.
Yeah, what did you need it for?
Anyway, it was choppy. Now, I didn't know if that was the case just for me.
Choppy 4K.
I've never had a buffering problem with my with the internet at my house or the YouTube. Like I've never had a problem whatsoever.
Rich.
Yeah, I have great internet. I'm rich. So I was a little surprised to see how just, it would kind of, it would stop and it would, check up a little bit and then it would quickly speed up to the next thing. But it was never like the buffer, like the moving circle or anything. It just kind of kept going. I don't know if that was just me or if that was the whole 4K stream.
So obviously over the air lag has the least amount of time. This company named Phoenix estimates over the air, like rabbit ears or whatever rabbit ears are now, 8 to 20 seconds. But as far as streaming services go, Tubi was by far the winner.
Wow.
Because they were using Fox's feed.
Gotcha.
So didn't have to, however, the satellites bounce around.
So like I said, like the 4K stream, if you're watching on YouTube TV, is way ahead of the regular Fox stream. Because midway through the third quarter, I was like, okay, I don't need this in my life anymore. Or maybe it was the fourth quarter. I don't need to really be watching this intently anymore. So I'm going to watch it on my computer. I'm going to do some other stuff. And I did. And I found out as the other TV was on that the 4K stream was at least a play, maybe two ahead.
Oh, it was ahead of the YouTube TV.
It was, 4K was on YouTube TV too, but just the regular Fox channel.
Oh, okay. I follow.
The 4K was way ahead. And that was consistent with what I experienced during college football season as well. The 4K channel would always be as close to reality as I felt like I could get.
NFL Plus came in second, being 51 seconds behind the on the field action. Tubi was 26 seconds behind. The worst streaming provider in this regard was Fubo at 78 seconds.
Could you imagine?
Behind on-field action.
The horror.
Hulu, YouTube TV, Sling, and DirecTV all about 62 seconds behind on-field action.
But I wonder what the 4K YouTube was.
Yeah, I don't have that data here. I apologize.
I think it was at least 30 seconds ahead of that. I might have been right up with it.
Might have been right with Tubi.
The best way, if you want to be the closest to the action, the most immediate,
be at the game.
Yes.
Okay.
But the second most?
Oh.
Radio.
Oh, interesting. A little 7-second delay, maybe 8.
Live radio.
Live radio?
Well, live local radio, right? Because like for the Super Bowl, it's going through a satellite.
Sure.
And
yeah, okay.
So that's actually probably not true. I imagine the radio feed that you were hearing on 1620 The Zone was probably pretty close to what you were seeing on television. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That is the odd news. Don't forget, our friend, but Josh's close personal friend, Frank Caliendo, will join us in the noon hour. We are back after this on 1620 The Zone.
He does it the only way he knows how. With his massive sports brain sprinkled with a smidgen of rabble-rousing. Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. More of the Connor Happer Show. You're on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Josh Hodson with you. Don't forget, I think, have you made any further contact with our dear friend?
Yeah, he's my close personal friend. Of course.
Have you made any contact since this show has begun?
Yeah.
You're at? What have you learned?
100% confirmed.
100% confirmed. He's joining the show
via the telephone.
Via the telephone.
He's got some other things to do with the Jays today.
Oh, he's got to do some stuff.
I don't know what stuff.
I don't either.
Is he going to be on Jays Live?
Well, I don't think so. But
why not?
I don't know.
Nothing but illustrious guests in attendance. One of them being comedian Frank Caliendo. Frank, welcome to CHI Health Center Omaha.
I might have to reach out.
Yeah.
See, I'm like partly the executive producer of Jay's Live.
Okay.
We got other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're throwing stuff to Red Panda at some point tonight.
That's at halftime. There's no halftime Jay's Live.
Wow.
Got bumped for Red Panda. That's okay.
That's okay.
The least she could do was invite me to be in her performance, and which I gladly said yes. It was a personal invite.
She was like, I got to have Happer be a part of this.
So before we get to Creighton and UConn tonight, which you could hear, of course, here on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The Keg if you prefer crystal clear FM. You won't be able to see John Bishop standing up and yelling at officials, but you can hear whether or not he's standing up. Trust me.
You'll know.
You'll know. Josh knew it when he was listening on the radio that one day.
I knew on AM radio Saturday.
I don't know what it is, like, because I've listened to like a road game on 1620, and I just feel it seems right to me on 1620.
I
don't know. I can't explain that.
I will listen.
It just feels right
to like
to me.
30 minutes of the game on Zone, and then I'll realize, oh yeah, this game is on 1019 The Keg.
And it sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here on Zone.
I know. I just kind of like it.
I'm a Zone boy.
It makes me feel like it's home.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, the conversation regarding Matt Rule and what he can accomplish in year 3. So what is I mean, I know he did this last year, but year 1 to year 2, right? He makes a big jump, right? Year 2 to year 3, that's when they really take off. That's when they have double-digit win seasons. Is that on the table? Well, we have to go back and we have to find out what were some of the things that made that possible. And my hypothesis, the thought here is that it's not really year 3 here, or at least it's not comparable to his other year 3s. And I've explained this before. I mean, you guys can see it as well. My general sense of what happened at Temple and Baylor is that he came in right away at those jobs, recruited the players he recruited, and a lot of them played right away. A lot of the same players that he had, that he had in his first year were their freshman year or their sophomore year or whatever. And then second year they were sophomores, third year they were juniors. And then that's when the program really took off to the next level. It was this consistent thing, year 1 to year 2 to year 3, that allowed them to take off because they were doing the same thing 3 years in a row. Anecdotally, it doesn't feel like that's the case here. It feels like they've had a lot of turnover, whether it's this past offseason or the offseason before that. And they had a large senior class that went out this past year full of guys who were contributing. Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker, just to name a couple of them, right? Bryce Benhart, who had started 1 billion games on the offensive line. And now you have this gigantic cutting down of the roster, and things are a little bit different. So I wanted to see, and so I did some spreadsheeting, and it was the annoying kind of spreadsheeting where you just had to type a bunch of stuff in, but I wanted to see the numbers at the end of it. So I went back, and I didn't do this for Temple because I didn't have time to last night because I was sleepy after I got back from Lincoln. But I looked at his roster in 2017, which is his first year at Baylor. And this is just raw numbers, right? This is not weighted for playing time or anything. I'm sure you would find other things when you weight it for playing time or weight it for too deep or whatever it might be. Like, just I only had so much time in my hands. So I just did raw roster numbers. 2017 at Baylor, Matt Rule had 116 players on his roster. In year 2 at Baylor, when they improved, they had 78 of those 116 come back. 67% of that roster. 67% of his original roster made it to year 2. 47 of those players made it back for year 3. And I wonder, anecdotally, once again, I wonder how much of those 47 were really important players. We can judge this now going into Nebraska at year 3, and we'll do that in a second. That's over 40% of his first year roster was on the roster in the 3rd year when they took off for, I think, 10 wins. They were in the Big 12 championship game. What does that number seem like to you off of its face, Josh? 40%. 40% of the roster that he first deployed in 2017 were winning a Big 12 champion, or were in the Big 12 championship game with him in 2019.
I mean, it seems like he had a good eye for talent, but
it seems pretty.
Also seems I can't tell if it's low or high.
Well, I think it's pretty good. Like, given that you're going to have a portion of your roster leave because of graduation every year, you'll have some of it leave due to transfers, and you'll have some kicked out. Like, I think 40% over a 2-year period, over 40% over a 2-year period is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's pretty high retention rate. And once again, you could look at the actual players.
You're not getting that now.
So that's what I wondered.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So 2023 at Nebraska, Matt Rule had 138 players on his roster. 138 players.
So big.
88 of which were with him last year. That's a pretty high number, over 63%. This year, going into 2025, and remember, this roster isn't final yet, so you'll have a couple people that fall off of this number. But as it stands right now, I think there's 120 some on the roster still. Once again, you'll have some fall off. Only 44 of those players that'll be on that are on the roster right now and have a chance to be on the roster in 2025 were players that were on the 2023 roster.
It's like a third.
44 out of 138. It's a little under 32%.
Okay.
And once again, I imagine that number will fall under 30%. So let's look at the players that we're talking about. I can name them all for you. There were 44 of them. I don't want to name all of them, but there are some important guys in there. Nebraska will be depending on, Junior and Bonner this year. Tristan Alvano is one of those guys. Marcus Buford is one of those guys. Turner Corcoran. Jaden Doss was a part of that first class. Justin Evans was a part of that. Gunnar Gatsula, Heinrich Harburg, Malcolm Hartzog, Elijah Judy, Emmett Johnson, Cam Lenhart, guys like Henry Lutovsky. There's some starters in there. Teddy Prohaska, a lot of offensive linemen, by the way. Deshaun Singleton, Riley Van Poppel, Javen Wright. Now, what does that list of names mean to you? I didn't think that there was a lot of impact players in that group.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't know this for sure, but I would guess if you look back at his Baylor roster from 2019, there was a lot of impact players that made it to 2019, year 3 for Rule at Baylor, that were on his roster in 2017 that were really impactful for him. I mean, he had really in his time at Temple and Baylor, he had 2 total starting quarterbacks that entire time. That's one of them. By the way, one of the players that made it from 2017 all the way to 2019 at Baylor was backup quarterback, walk-on Garrett McGuire. That's right. So he had a relative, and I know the gap doesn't seem that big. We're basically talking about 10%, 30% to 40%. It doesn't seem that big, but I would call that a pretty high retention rate over the 3 years. And once again, I'm not saying that this is necessarily purposeful, but the results are the results, right? So if we're making the case that, hey, it's year 3 for Matt Rule at Nebraska, and this is what happens in year 3, you have to take into account the circumstances at which it happened in his other 2 jobs. And I think a big part of that, not the entire reason, but a big part of that is the fact that they developed all those guys with live on the field playing experience that led into their jump in year 3. There is also culture, the way that they work, their practice habits, familiarity, like things that you can accomplish without having the same tenets of literally the roster. Once again, 47 of his 116 made it from year 1 to year 3 at Baylor. And so far, 44 of its 138 at Nebraska. So there are other tenets to this, but I do think a main part of this, a main arm, is that he played a lot of those players young at Baylor, and they won by the time that they were in their 3rd and 4th year, and they went on to do big things, of course, after Rule left for Carolina as well in 2020. Does that same thing apply here? In my opinion, it doesn't appear so. I don't think this is a 1-for-1, and it was never going to be, right? There are circumstances that have led Nebraska to change over quite a bit this offseason. The roster cutting down, the transfer portal was not as much of a thing. NIL, like all of these things, but so it's a different world of college football, and I think I give credit to Matt Rule for adjusting and adapting through the world of college football. But once again, if your reason for Nebraska taking off in year 3 is because, hey, they played a bunch of young guys and they're going to do exactly what they did at Baylor and Temple, and it's going to happen here at Nebraska, I don't think that's accurate. I think they could take off for a variety of different reasons this year, right? Like you might get the same result. But if you're telling me, hey, they've been sitting in the background and they've been developing and they've been on the field and they've been taking their lumps over the last couple of years, there's only a select few guys who that really applies to on Nebraska's team right now. They've had a lot of turnover. They're going to rely on transfers quite a bit this year. They're going to rely on a quarterback who joined them last year. And I mean, a lot, like I said, a lot of their lineup is going to be transfers. So I just don't think it's completely accurate to say this is a 1-to-1 just because it's year 3 Matt Rule and he did this at Baylor and Temple. It looks a lot different. Last year, it was accurate. Mm-hmm. They retained 63% of their roster from 2023 to 2024.
Wow.
Last year was accurate. Last year they were still on plan A. But in my opinion, make no mistake about it, this is not plan A anymore. This is plan B. Not that plan B has to be worse. Plan B is an adaptation of plan A. But this is no longer what the original intention and the original vision of when he got here, as far as how linearly they were going to develop the roster and have it literally foundationally build upon itself year over year. That is not happening for Matt Rule going into year 3. We saw it last year. They leaned heavily on some of the guys that he inherited, and a lot of those guys. I mean, I'm thinking of Prince Will and James Williams and a couple of the guys, Mekhi Bear, guys that were either here or that Rule recruited and that played really early in their careers, and they were hoping to see the fruits of that this year. A lot of those guys went into the portal. They gone. They left. And so Nebraska, it was up to them to adapt and adjust, and they went out and paid guys in the portal and got them and stayed old. Credit to them, but it's not those same players. So it's different, in my opinion.
Rules had to sort of learn on the fly with a lot of this stuff, and I'm sure he knew it when he signed up for it, but a college football very different than when he was at Baylor and left for the NFL.
I think that is the primary reason that you're seeing what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind, we said this midstream last year. We said this during the season. It just
look, he's changing in a way he hasn't had to before.
That first year, 2023, they were like, it was going to go exactly, not exactly. It was going to go pretty much how it had gone at the other places. They were going to play some of these young guys. Yes, they were going to lean on some of their old guys. Their roster was weighed down with that, but we are going to play. I mean, they played 50 guys on defense or whatever, and a lot of them who came in ancillary roles and backup roles, they were young and they played, and there was real development happening during the season. Last year, I mean, I don't think there's a better example of this than Prince Will, Uman Miel, and Cam Lenhart, who's still here. They got better because they played a lot in their freshman campaigns. I didn't really notice them last year. I think they were out there less, right? Because they leaned heavily on Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker, and they just didn't get, like, it felt like they gave up long-term development last year in favor of trying to win enough games to get to a bowl game or see what they could do beyond that. And I think they're paying the price for it now. Now, like I said, the price doesn't have to be that steep, because Matt Rule knows that this situation that they're at right now in Nebraska is a little bit different than it was at Baylor and at Temple, because they have access to NIL, they have these facilities, and they have the transfer portal that they could always backfill and whatever. So, like, they are adapting and they are adjusting. But in my opinion, this does not look like how they thought it was going to look or how they did do it at Baylor and Temple and had success with it. So once again, if you're making the case, hey, it's going to be classic year 3 Matt Rule, that's okay. Point to other things. Point to other things. Say year 3 Matt Rule's culture, like, it's finally set in, and they have a good idea of what's expected of them and all that stuff. But I think that's what you're going off of. You're not talking about the physical roster in and of itself, because you'll see when Nebraska lines up for the first time next year, you'll see a lot of transfers. You'll see a lot of new faces. You'll see guys that were not here either last year or certainly 2 years ago.
You're going to want to have a program with you when you sit down.
Yeah. Maybe that's a reason why they should have the spring game, Josh.
That's right. Learn
so we
some
can get
names.
familiar with all these people. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
The obvious big one is Dylan, who wasn't there 2 years ago. No doubt. And he was there last year. So that's roster retention year over year. And Nebraska will have some of that. Not a lot of it, in my opinion. I mean, I can think about some names that were on the roster last year, but not in 2023. He will be big players for them in 2024. Ja'Cory Barney, obviously, is a huge part of that equation as well. Sierra Wright, I think, will be a big part of that equation. So there's a
the
few
actor?
Yes, Sierra Wright, the actor. That's starting cornerback Sierra Wright to you, buddy. Get it straight.
He showed some flashes, didn't he?
Oh, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Greg in Myrtle Beach is here.
Greg, welcome.
The real key for 2025 will be if the cash investment in the new coordinators is enough to overcome a few of these words are in all caps, by the way.
Sure.
Middle school rules, in-game, all caps, ineptitude. I got to tell you, I might be the least stressed out person about that. If we're looking at year 3, like problems or things that people have declared as red flags over the 2 years of Rule being here, people always point to the in-game coaching stuff. And I just I wish they were more consistent in some of the decision-making they made and they have made over the last 2 years. I wish I knew I wish I knew who you are
ahead of time. Yeah.
I wish I knew what they were about.
Situation alert.
But I also, I don't know, I'm just worried about a lot of other things before we get to that point. For me, maybe that will prove to not age very well.
He seems to have some of those Andy Reid time problems.
Is that the thing? Is that the thing that drowns a coach? If I'm thinking about it right now, and this is just off the top of my head, I got to think of some bad ones out there. I think of James Franklin. Like, James Franklin sucks at that. Like, notoriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hurt him. He's lost games because of it. Was he ever going to get fired because of it? No, he's going to get fired because he couldn't beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen anymore because he just went to the semifinal, and then they went out and paid a coordinator $6 million this year.
He's got time.
Right? So that's never, I can't recall that really being a reason why it hasn't worked for a coach. It might cost you games, but I'm thinking, when I'm thinking about whether a coach is going to work or not, I'm thinking more general, big picture stuff like this.
It's the macro that gets you fired.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because Josh, I don't know, help me out. Like, I can't think of really any examples of.
I mean, maybe in a situation
in the NFL, I think that's probably the case.
Maybe Bo was a micro where we got too focused on the micro.
Oh, well, maybe, but it wasn't in-game management,
right?
It wasn't in-game management. I'm specifically talking about in-game timeouts called and whether to go for it on fourth down. Like that we complain about that game by game, but I don't think it's the reason that you get fired or you get retained. But I know people get pissed.
No one comes to mind, but
people get triggered about it. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
And they definitely did invest in their coordinators, and I think that's a bigger piece of the puzzle than what you call on third down. And frankly, what you call on third down should be a lot better this year. Now that Nebraska actually has a good offensive coordinator, let's just say that. By the way, the salaries for all those guys dropped. There was no update on Marcus Satterfield or Ed Foley's salary, in case people are still wondering about that.
$1 million tight ends coach?
1.4, right?
Yeah.
So that seems to be the case. Mike Eckler is going to make $625,000. Donnie got a raise.
Donnie?
$650,000.
Gee, wonder why Donnie got a raise. Wonder.
They really want to do that. What? Why do we do that with him?
I don't know why.
He's fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
What's wrong with Donnie?
He's fine.
It's like, oh, well, I guess if his little nephew wasn't here and he didn't look like Patrick Mahomes all the time, and would we really care?
Got 2 Raiolas because of the offensive line coach. Wink, wink, wink.
Rob Dvorak got a bump as well from $300,000 to $450,000.
Hello.
I know people care about that kind of stuff, so there you go.
Now you have fodder for Big Red overreaction in 6 months.
Yeah. Know all the coaches' salaries, and then you can call in a Big Red overreaction and say this coach makes $100,000 too much money. What a waste. Can't wait for Big Red overreaction.
My tax dollars paying for that.
No, they're not.
No,
can't wait. Can't wait till football's back. We love football.
We love football.
All
we complain about it a lot.
All the things that people complain about with football. It's all great. We love it all. All right. Let's take a break. Josh, time to call your close personal friend.
Which one? I have so many.
In this case, you're maybe the OG close personal friend.
I think it might be, yeah.
I love this idea that the bit is all these random people that we, for whatever reason, have good relationships with and have on the show. I don't know how that stands with Ben Bailey, by the way. But they're all your
acquaintance, Ben Bailey.
I think put him in the acquaintance category, but close personal friend. So your official list of close personal friends is Frank Caliendo.
That's right.
Jeff Jarrett. Tech Nine.
Yeah.
Are you on a texting relationship with Tech Nine?
I would never. Even if I had his number.
You wouldn't text Tech Nine?
I would not.
Poll question. Would you text Tech Nine if you had his number? Who is some other? Boston Rob. Are you how'd Boston Rob do?
I do not have a texting relationship with. I didn't think to keep the Rolodex going on the cell phone.
Anybody else that I missed?
I have some other numbers. I don't regularly converse with a lot of those people.
I mean, like close personal friend is like our way of saying friends of the show.
Friends of the show. Yes, exactly.
And Frank Caliendo is one of our close personal friends. And he loves Creighton basketball
so much.
And he'll join us next on 1620 The Zone. right, Creighton basketball tonight. Hosts Hell in a Cell against UConn. It's always fun when these two teams get together. And we're happy for our next guest. Some are calling him the preeminent fan of Creighton basketball these days, Frank Caliendo, who will get to experience Dollar Beer Night for the first time, I think. Hello, Frank. Good to talk to you again. How are you?
Great. I don't know why I'm doing this.
Are you Irish now? What happened?
I'm not sure. I think it's Scottish. I'm not sure where it came from.
How excited would Scottish Frank Caliendo be for Dollar Beer Night in Omaha tonight?
It's going to be a great time. I don't know. I don't drink, so I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, you'll enjoy the views. Just the general sights and sounds.
Yeah. See if the people drinking the dollar beers get more excited than Dan Hurley. So we'll see.
Oh yeah.
Just switch.
Oh yeah. That's for sure. Okay. So something that we discussed during the show, we were reimagining or somebody else was reimagining the Super Bowl halftime show because they don't like what's currently going on in the halftime show or whatever. And somebody said that they should get comedians up there. If they asked you to do the Super Bowl halftime show, would you do it?
It's the worst idea ever.
That's what I said.
You have to have silence to be able to do comedy. So you could never get that stadium silent. Some people are always going to be talking. So comedy, you need the silence for timing. So you need, I think it was, wasn't it, what's his name from FS1?
Klatt.
Joel Klatt, yeah. I'd seen that, and I was like, no. Because he had said Nate Bargatze, and I'm like, as great and as huge as Nate Bargatze is, top 5 comedian probably in the country, maybe the world right now, music is different than stand-up. It's like opening for a band. If you open for a band, people are in the mood for music. It's 10 times as hard to try and do comedy before that. I once did, I attempted stand-up comedy before a Bucks game, and I'm at halftime at a Bucks game, and I'm from Milwaukee. It was okay. It was great for the situation. I still would compare it as like not good. I would say compared to everything else. I got 7 minutes in. I had to do 10 minutes. I got 7 minutes in. They said, do whatever you want. I got 7 minutes in. I got a good enough laugh, but I'm like, this is what I end on. And I went to the T-shirt cannon and started shooting T-shirts and doing voices while shooting the T-shirt. Because it was one of those things where I was just like, it's not going to get better than this. 3 more minutes. I was doing Barkley talking about some of the Bucks and stuff like that. And, those types of voices. And I was like, this has worked well enough. Okay. Now, just get out of here. So the getaway car was there, and I started launching T-shirts with Jim Paskey, who was the play-by-play guy for the Bucks for 30 years, even since I was a kid. So 40 years. If I was like 10, so I'm doing math, guys.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's just an awful idea. I mean, somebody that big might want to do it, but the harm you could do to yourself. I mean, you get huge,
like exposure.
The thing is, if you have multiple great Netflix specials and you're famous enough, maybe you're bulletproof in that situation.
Yeah.
But you know how hard it is to do comedy at the Oscars or the Golden Globes or something like that. Imagine doing it with nobody listening.
Yeah.
Or even if 20% of the people are going to get food, going to the bathroom. I just see this horrific.
It feels too big. Like it's not there. There's something about comedy that is, you're up close and personal. Like you're in the middle of a football field or even a basketball court, and you're like kind of far away from people. And I don't know. It does not feel like the right direction to go.
There's no real energy coming back at you. Plus,
right,
the reverb in the stadium like that for the, when you're talking, there'd be slight echo types of stuff. Even with the best sound, you'd hear a little bit of something. It's when people hear you speak, by the time it gets out to the speakers, your mouth is closed and moving on to the next thing. So your timing, it's just really hard. I mean, it would be a great idea if it were more intimate, but somebody will probably try it because they'll want to see if they can pull it off someday. But I also see it as, you'd have to get Nate would be a guy because you have to get a trustworthy comedian. Most of the giant name comedians
right.
are not going to be somebody that you trust with that. So, I think it's in the words of Charles Barkley, a terrible idea.
Does not seem to be the direction that we're headed, it seems. But I'm glad that you had the T-shirt cannon as your backup at the Bucks game that one time. That's
not only did I have it as my backup, I had it as my beginning of my plan. That was at the top of the list.
It's like if I'm not getting anything in 2 minutes, I'm going straight to the T-shirt cannon.
Yeah, and it's listen, like I said, it went way better than I'd expected. I did not, but still wasn't great. It's one of those things where I compare it to something else. Anything. It's just the deal with comedy is a controlled environment is always best. And I would say the Super Bowl, any sporting event is not a controlled environment for comedy. It's great for the setup for the sport, and it's a pretty good setup for music, but I don't think it's good for comedy.
Have you ever seen up close and personal? You've been to a lot of basketball games. The talents of tonight's halftime act in Omaha, Red Panda.
No, what does Red Panda do?
Okay, so Red Panda, she's this woman, and she sits atop a very tall unicycle. And
yes, I think I have seen.
Yes, someone throws her bowls, and then she catches the bowls, and then she puts them on her foot before flipping them up on top of her head in a stack.
Yeah. That's usually, I didn't know that was the name of the act, Red Panda, her name.
Yes.
But that's usually what I refer to as me not doing as well as at the Bucks game.
She brings down the house every time.
It's incredible. I mean, it's great. Little kids get it, old people, everybody, it's for it. I mean, it's perfect for that kind of thing. There's like an amazing ooh.
Right.
There's no oohs in comedy unless it's really bad and you shouldn't have said it.
So they offered me. I'm the you'll see this tonight. By the way, are you? Well, we can talk about this later. So I'm like the in-house MC guy for the Creighton basketball game. So you'll be seeing a lot of me tonight. And so they were like, "Hey, do you want to throw the bowls to Red Panda?" And I was like, well, that's kind of a lot of pressure, but sure. So that's going to be part of my responsibilities tonight. How do you think it'll go?
Do you get any warm up? Do you get any Red Panda warm up?
I don't know. I hope to maybe meet her before, and we can maybe discuss some things, lay out a game plan.
What if they tell you don't look Red Panda in the eye?
Terrifying.
Even when you're throwing the bowls, you can't make eye contact.
I don't know. I'm already kind of nervous. I think that would send me over the edge.
Oh, I think you're the one who gets booed. I mean, I can't see. I don't see that as a Stephen Ashworth lob to calc. I don't see that.
No,
you guys don't have that kind of. This is 2 years for those guys together. You get second year is where you build your rapport.
Exactly.
You and Red Panda. The Trash Panda. This is not. Not directed toward the act at all, which was actually from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. Hey, how did you now become the Creighton basketball fan? How did this happen? And it's great. I love it, by the way. But how did it happen?
Visit last year, and I just wanted to see what it was all about because I'd always heard about Creighton. Arizona has a lot of recruits and stuff like that. I got friends that played high school, college basketball and stuff like that. So people always talk about Creighton as being one of those teams. And I'd watched the last few years of Creighton. And I was like, why don't I go here and see what it's all about? And then I got there, and I've been around some other college programs. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's a machine. The efficiency and the attention to detail. I remember they're college kids, so you're going to screw up, right? I mean, it's about training and training muscles, training actions, training all sorts of stuff. And you don't get what you want. And when somebody puts pressure on you, whether it's the crowd watching or the other team with crazy, high level defense. And in the Big East, there's a lot of contact. You should see the stuff they do. And maybe you have seen the stuff that they work on practicing going against the contact. I mean,
they're throwing everything at them.
And literally, it's like Bulls throwing at Red Panda, not up to Red.
Catch this, Red Panda. Bet you can.
Yeah, it's machine gun fire. I mean, it's so. I just I just took to it, and I was like, I don't know. And it was with Mac, and I just really got on Mac because rarely do you have a coach that can coach, also be great with the media, and also be like a GM of the team.
Yeah.
So he's filling a lot of roles that I most coaches can do, lower level coaches can do one, maybe higher level coaches do two. And there's probably very few people that can do three. And he's just a stand-up guy. College basketball is dirty, man. It's ugly. And, it's one of those things when people ask me, well, why didn't Mac is such a great coach. Why didn't he get this guy or that guy? I go, because at Creighton, you have to go to class. Not everybody wants to go to class. I mean, it's education is why you're there. So some people just aren't going to go to school there. That's just some kids just want to play basketball, and some want a great education. Some kids go to Yale and play basketball there that could play at a different level of basketball. But Creighton's kind of a great combination of you get a degree at Creighton and you play basketball there. People, I don't know somebody who wouldn't want to hire somebody that graduated from Creighton and played on the basketball team, because you're like, if you know anything about what's going on there, that's education, and you're growing up, in athletics as a team. So it's just the level. My son is with me, and he brought a friend this time. He's like, I can't believe the culture. Like, everybody jokes, players and coaches always talk about culture and how great the culture is. It's actually there at Creighton, and I just had never seen anything like it, and just thought it was great.
So,
and Mac likes me because I come up to about his belly button.
Right. So that was the funny part of yesterday when you go to practice, and then Mac is doing his he's getting ready to do his regular media before the game, and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Frank Caliendo," and then you go on to have a conversation with yourself with like Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley, and I think you threw some Trump in there. Was that planned that you were going to just rip off some stuff?
He said he might do something, and then with Mac, that usually means he's going to do something. So I didn't really technically plan. I was going to talk to the team, which I did, and did some jokes and bits for the team. I did my beginning of my Mac impression where my shoulders get up to about my ears. Unfortunately, I need to stand on a box
for scale.
Oh my God! Yeah, it was Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was pretty ridiculous. It was Ant-Man with the Pym particles in forward and reverse. It was the giant Ant-Man and little Ant-Man. So, and then I did my Derek Kellogg walking impression for the team, my Ryan Miller. For people that don't know, Derek Kellogg looks like somebody is attacking his knees with Red Panda's plates. It looks like it's not bow-legged. It's like it's like warped bow-legged. It's just a crazy thing. And then he saw me do it. I saw him stretching his legs later. He's like, I got it.
He's self-conscious about it now.
Yeah, and then I did my Ryan Miller doing game film, which is Ryan Miller, which is Mason Miller's uncle and Mike Miller's brother, and just he mumbles everything. And I did that for the team. Next, and the team went crazy for that, and so it was fun. And then I went to a dinner with the Hoke family last night. Everybody. It was a team dinner that I invited myself to. And my new nickname. Have you heard about my new nickname for Stephen Ashworth? He hates it.
I have not.
Boss Baby.
Hey, be careful, man, because that guy he is tormenting people around the Big East right now.
He's incredible. No, I actually talk to Ash all the time. I text Ash. It's funny because I text Ashworth weekly, maybe a couple times a week. Isaac Trout. Anytime he has a multiple 3-point game, I message him on Instagram. Calc, I stay away from. He just, even though he's a gentle giant, he just scares me. The wingspan, I feel like he could hit me from far away. I live in Tempe, Arizona, so Jemiah Neal came from ASU, so it's great to see him, blowing up here in Omaha. That's another little treat and another correlation, I guess, or one of the strings tied to the board going across the board for the how does this all come together type of thing. So I was trying to figure out words. I didn't have them. I've been up since early this morning. So
you're a part of the team now. That's the point, I think.
I told Mac, he didn't reply to me because he probably doesn't want to do it. I said, next year in a game that that you don't think is as competitive, I want to be a team manager and bring out seats to people, chairs for the players.
Nice.
I want to do that. I think that would be fun, but it's hard because then if you're struggling and not playing as well as you want, then Caliendo's to blame for the problem.
Hey, if you want to throw the Bulls to Red Panda tonight, you could be my guest too. That's all.
No, you're trying to get out of it, and I have zero interest in it. So we tried to do the half court shot thing yesterday. I haven't tried to take a half court shot, a big court, maybe since high school. I'm 51. I would have got. It was embarrassing. I couldn't get the ball to the free throw line. I mean, it's just trying to shoot it like you run up and do like a super long layup type of thing. No chance. I should have gone with the two-hand, try to, double flick.
Push it. Yeah.
Like a two-hand chest pass type of thing. But I don't think it would have gone there either. I'm going to blame a little bit of restrictive clothing that wasn't that restrictive, but I'm going to really blame muscles that don't work at all anymore. I could not believe how I wasn't even, it was embarrassingly bad.
Well, I'm glad we didn't roll you out there for the half court shootout tonight, because dollar beer night, they would have booed you out of there probably.
Oh, I should have been booed. I should have been. And my son, he was getting kind of close, and his friend, they both got kind of close, but I think they had to go run. I just quit doing it halfway through. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is dumb. What a terrible idea.
How did you end up at the game in Vegas, by the way, where they put you on TV and the whole thing?
We just went there because I told Mac, hey, we bought some tickets. And it's like, hey, we're going to go see out there. We wanted to see a couple of the other teams too. I actually hung out with Mac the night before. And, I think it was right after Ashworth got injured.
Yep. He got hurt in the Nebraska game right before that. Yep.
Yeah. So he was, that's played San Diego State. And it was just different without Steven. So, and I think Isaacs was probably playing a little bit sore too. So, I don't know what the injury was there, but there was lots going on. But we just wanted to see the NIL tournament to see what it was all about, get out there, and had a lot of fun with that. And I live in Phoenix, so it's a 4.5 hour drive to get out there. So we just zipped out there.
That's awesome.
And came back.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoy the game tonight. I know you've been to Omaha for a couple of them. This will be, it's a late night tip. It'll be pretty intense in there. It'll be rolling.
Yeah, and last time I sat in a suite. This time Mac got a seat near the court. So I'm scared to say the least, but looking forward to it. Now I'm going to be back I'm actually going to be back in Omaha.
May, right?
It's changed because the club is moving and they had some issues. So it was supposed to be the first week of May. It's going to be April. I want to do the one last time in this club, April 17th. So April 16th, I'm at the Funny Bone in Kansas City. And then April 17th. So it's Wednesday, April 16th at the Funny Bone in Kansas City. And then Omaha Funny Bone here in Omaha on April 17th, which is the Thursday. And I think it's omaha.funnybone.com.
Very good. Well, we'll chat before we do that then. How about that?
Yeah, and I'll see you tonight. I'm not sure. He had seats. Mac had seats for us, and then he's like, I got some better ones for you. So I was like, I'll take them.
I'm just saying, you're going to be out there. Don't be surprised if a bald guy and a camera come visit you at some point. That's all I got to say.
Oh, you were asking, too, about you have to go to break. I'll do this real quick.
Go ahead.
The TBS thing. It was funny because my son's friend was telling me, like, yeah, when you're on TBS, like, people were getting mad at you. I'm like, why? Just because I was, being my normal idiot self? He goes, no, they had you on the screen the whole time while the game was going on. I'm like, I would have been mad at that too. I want to watch college basketball. I thought they had me in a small square. So
you're like on there during the play, like full screen.
5 minutes. Like they talked to me first, which was great, as far as PR and stuff like that. And, I guess any PR is good PR in some ways, but it's one of those types of things where I was going, I didn't know I was full screen until then because I don't watch anything I do because it's embarrassing.
Frank,
I'm not Red Panda, man.
No, it takes a special kind of person to do that. Frank, you're the man. We'll see you tonight. Enjoy the game.
Awesome. Talk soon.
That is Frank Caliendo, close personal friend of Josh Odson and of many.
Many, yeah. It makes me feel good that
he's texting Stephen Ashworth after
he
games.
Treats the players the way I treat him.
And back in town at the Funny Bone for April 17th.
Hey, did you see Tommy Boy's on? That's a pretty funny one. What do you think?
So good. So good. All right. That's fun as always. And we'll make this a recurring thing as we usually do. We'll be back in a couple months.
Yeah. I mean, April's right around the corner.
And he'll enjoy some good old-fashioned hate tonight in Omaha. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. So the next time we get Frank to whip up a quick John Bishop. I think that's our plan for next time.
I'd be interested what that sounded like.
Like it'd be pretty good.
Like what does he pick up on? Like we know things about John that we would pick up on.
He
are they
sees
the
things
same
in such an interesting way.
Yeah.
He's got a different brain than all of us. I mean, that's the whole backstory of how he became a college. I mean, the fact that he can see, I mean, it's pretty impressive, right? The fact that he can see, like, not just that Creighton's good and they win, but how they operate, like how precise they are.
Like the nuts and bolts
That's,
of it all.
I mean, that's, you would maybe be able to figure it out, but I don't know if you'd be able to articulate it after watching them a few times. But like that is truly who they are as a program. They're really deliberate and precise, and I mean, that's what they're about as a program. That's what their culture is.
I received a text.
Okay, good.
During the break.
Who's it from?
My close personal friend, Frank Caliendo.
What does it say?
It is simply an image.
Okay.
We have moved on to sharing memes with each other, apparently.
Okay.
Let me put that up to the screen there.
All right.
It's a picture of Boss Baby.
He didn't like it. This Stephen Ashworth didn't like that very much.
Maybe that's what's fueled his aggressive play.
That's what Plattcat says on YouTube. Is Frank the real motivation for Steven's Big East hate tour? Every game when he scores, he's still got Frank Caliendo in his DMs or on his text messages with a picture of the Boss Baby. It's like, great job, kid. And a little pat on the head.
I got to show that I am aggressive so that I can drop this Boss Baby moniker.
That would fuel me. I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people getting on him because he's a dad and a husband now for whatever reason. And the real motivation is that Frank Caliendo is going to he's going to get a text from Frank Caliendo after every game that says nothing. It's just a picture of Boss Baby from the movie Boss Baby.
I got to show Frank I'm a killer.
John emails in.
Hi, John.
I want to hear Frank say, Evan Burrows, you suck.
You think if we emailed him a couple drops and then a couple kind of more extended clips and then a photo of John Bishop, do you think he could craft something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think he could do that by the next time we talk in April.
Would he want to, I guess, is really the question.
I mean, it seems like it. Like I said, he's doing Ryan Miller and DK impressions of walking. You know, he's in the bag he knows what's going on at this point. Mm-hmm. So I think the next logical step is John Bishop impressions. Frank Caliendo.
What an honor that would be.
It would be. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic. He'll probably come up with something me walking around tonight. He'll be like, what's that guy doing? Why is he always looking like that?
What is he looking like? Why is he throwing those bowls like that?
All of a sudden, next time he comes on the show, it's a video of him walking around weird, throwing bowls, stuff like that. All right. Sorry, that was a quick segment there. We were running a little bit late. Let's take a break. Have a chat with Jacob Bigelow. Talk some Huskers, college hoops, and more on 1620 The Zone.
That's the country song, right? Remember when?
Thank you. Jacob Bigelow.
Yeah. Whenever my open is concocted, throw that in there.
He's on fire!
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, on the Connor Happer Show, on 1620, The Zone.
Boom shakalaka!
All right, joined now on the hotline by yet another college basketball sicko. I think Frank Caliendo's in that category now, too, it seems. Driving 4 hours to watch Creighton play in a mega NIL tournament.
Frank Caliendo on the Stretch Big Pod. Who says no?
And our next guest who drove more than 4 hours to go to a more random college basketball game this past weekend, Jacob Bigelow. Hi, Jacob.
Hello, Connor. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be categorized with Frank Caliendo today, but here we are, as if my basketball season wasn't already weird. We're getting extra weird, and there's still so much time left, so it could even get weirder.
Oh, I can pretty much guarantee, Jacob, that it's going to get weirder, given where each of the three local teams are at right now, but specifically Nebraska finding themselves, squarely or maybe just on the right side of the bubble. I'm telling you, it's going to get weirder.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that. I'm feeling that as well. I know projections don't mean anything, but I saw Lenardi's latest was a Nebraska-Missouri 7-10 game taking place in Wichita, Kansas.
Oh!
You want to talk about weird? That would get weird. So there will be plenty of, I'm sure, wish casting projections that sound fun, and may I interest you in narratives? Here's a projection, like some things like that. That it'll be an interesting next few weeks.
Well, last year at this point we were incessantly talking about Nebraska potentially ending up in Omaha, which did not happen. Wichita against Missouri wouldn't be quite Nebraska playing a first round game in Omaha, but it would be pretty. It would be something. That's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely would. I mean, there are definitely some more drivable, first round cities on the list this year. Denver, Wichita. I just drove to Milwaukee a couple weeks ago. Some people may think Milwaukee's not an easy drive, but I would gladly do it again. That's on the list as well. As long as I'm not looking as someone who drove 10 hours round trip to Memphis by myself last year to go to the NCAA tournament, I would prefer to not have to drive too far again this year.
But if you have to, that's what you'll do, because you're a college basketball sicko and you're going. There's no doubt.
Yeah. Yep. That's
crap. I guess I got to drive this new car to Raleigh, North Carolina. Looks like I'm going.
Yeah, I got to go to Providence. Oh no. Oh no. I gotta reverse Dumb and Dumber this thing to Providence.
Watch out for the little old ladies on the motorized carts.
Yeah, I don't know how that would Providence would be a fever dream. That would be possibly the weirdest place for this basketball season to end. So now that I said that, that's probably where it'll be.
100%.
Who knows?
Yep. At least you'll get to experience the dunk/amp while the angry Providence fans aren't really there. But that's a conversation for a couple weeks from now. We're less than 5 weeks away from Selection Sunday. Nebraska's got themselves back in the conversation. Have they erased completely now their 6-game losing streak and got back to the point where they were sitting after they beat UCLA the first game of the new year?
They kind of have, in some ways. They've balanced out the dropping the 2 games at home by picking up 2 on the road. At Oregon and at Washington. They're at 16 wins right now with 7 to play in the regular season, and at least one game in Indy. And as weird as it feels to say, it kind of feels like if they get to 19, they're in a really good spot with the wins that they have. And their resume being what it is, the bubble kind of stinks. It's kind of smelly if you haven't if you haven't looked closely recently. And then even if they finish 10-10 in the Big Ten in the regular season, that's that'll do. I think that gets you a ticket. So they're they've kind of all but erased it. I'm sure it'll, locally it'll be, talked about more than it will be, on the grand scheme and on the grand scale nationally. But I mean, it'll be hard to not think about it, probably until the end of the regular season. But I think, for their resume and, talk of, postseason and all that, they've kind of all but erased it.
Yeah, I want to talk about the bubble in a second, but let's continue on Nebraska here with Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, the Stretch Big Pod as well. Bryce Williams, over the last these four wins, 27, 28, 23, and 24. It felt like for a moment, and especially during that 6-game losing streak, he was trying to balance being an efficient scorer with the scoring load that he has now taken on. It feels like, I mean, he still has the efficiency now, but it feels like he is more willing to have the shots, to take the shots, and to have the ball in his hand. What do you think has led to the adaptation here for Bryce Williams over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's interesting because they're when they're in that skid, people are like, oh, he's got to be hurt. Oh, he's got to be there's got to be something wrong, and people forget that the college basketball season is long. There are slumps, there are ups and downs, not just for players but for teams. But Bryce has kind of gotten back to, I think Fred Hoiberg said on Sunday afternoon, he's like, he's not being a pig out there. He's taking good shots. He's making the right play. He's not just chucking. So he's letting things come to him more. He doesn't look like, there are some games where he'd be out on the perimeter just dribbling around, and it'd be like, they look like Nebraska looked lost. What is going on out there? And Bryce has just looked more steady. He's a pretty even keeled dude as is, but he looks like he's just letting the game come to him more. Everything looks more steady, and even when he's just putting his head down and going down to trying to draw contact, get to the rim, it seems more smooth. It's back to just looking a lot smoother for him. Not as much of a, doesn't look like he's exerting so much to score like he was during that losing streak. What
will be the impact felt of the injury to Berke here? I mean, you and I have talked about him plenty on the show and how it's his lack of consistency, but he is coming off of a pretty solid game. And you're going into this stretch where, you're playing Maryland, who's got some bigs that you have to deal with, and you need physicality to do that. What do you think comes of them missing Berke from the lineup over the next few here, potentially?
I think the first thing is he's probably your most consistent rebounder. I think he's definitely had some nice games on the glass, these last couple of weeks. I think depth wise, obviously, I'm interested to see the lineup combinations they use. Fred alluded to playing Braxton Mia and Andrew Morgan together. I kind of think that their offense, as in general, has looked best with just one big guy on the court this year, not trying to have too big. I think that's when their offenses look the best. So I'm interested to see how they manage the personnel. But I think mostly it'll be rebounds, physicality, and some intangible things that they lose with him. But he has kind of been coming into his own. He had his best. Fred said it. I agreed with him. I think Sunday was his best game as a Husker, and he goes down with 40-something seconds left with a pretty gnarly ankle sprain. So it'll be we'll see how long it takes till we see him back in the lineup.
I think that I may be the only member of the Braxton Mia should play more club, whatever that is. Now at the same time, he can't, right? They can only put him out there for a few minutes at a time before he gets tired. But I sort of like the look that he gave him on Sunday against Ohio State, and generally in his little amount of minutes over the last several weeks, I think he's been fine. I think you could maybe live there with Braxton Mia.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and that's not just because I'm on your show. I do tend to agree with you. I think some of their best their best defensive lineups this year have included Mia on the floor. The rim protection has not been as prominent with him as I thought it would be, but it's definitely more so, a threat with him on the floor than it is with Burke or with Morgan, just because he's 7 feet tall. Like, I mean, it's just in terms of the way it looks. I mean, it's they're the way things look, and it's not just with Mia, just how much the spacing fluctuates with Nebraska depending on the personnel.
Oh, man.
It can look like completely different teams depending on who's out there on the floor. But I mean, I think, defensively and just, size-wise, I tend to agree with you. I think it'll be I think this could be a big stretch for Mia, and you mentioned his conditioning, but I think, you look at, they got the biggest front line in the league coming in, on Thursday night. I think he'll definitely have to be of use.
All right, pick one Big Ten team that you feel confident in that can make, that will make the. Well, let's see. How do I put this? The second. I mean, there's going to be probably more than one in the second weekend. But if you were to rank the teams based on your confidence in their ability to make the second weekend of the NCAA tournament in the Big Ten, where do you start?
I think I start with Purdue.
I kind of agree. They're kind of sneaky out of nowhere. Purdue.
They are sneaky. Like, I mean, they took their licks in non-conference play, and I talked to some Purdue people, and they're like, I wish Painter is scheduled lighter. But I mean, that's clearly paid dividends because here we are in February, and Purdue is turning it on again. So I think I kind of start with them. I'm trying to decide how I feel about Michigan State because it depends on when I watch them. There are games where I watch them and I'm like, this maybe is Izzo's best team in like multiple years. Like, they might be pretty good. And then there are some games where I watch them like, what is this team? What are they doing? And I'm trying to decide with them. I kind of really Michigan is in this group too, where it depends on when I watch them. There was a time where I was very high on Michigan. I thought they had a case to be the best team in the conference. They've fluctuated a little bit, but I think those are the 3 teams that I think will go the deepest, and that's pretty chalky. But I think just the Big Ten is so damn weird this year, and I feel like we say that every year, but it feels even weirder now because like UCLA is a team that could mess around and make the second weekend.
Wisconsin can light you up in a hurry, and but you know what happens.
Guard anybody?
Exactly.
But are they going to guard anybody? Like, there's a whole that Rothstein tweet after the Nebraska game on Sunday where it's like Bryce Williams and John Tonje are the 2 best wings in the Big Ten. I'm like, this is a fever dream.
What a world.
This is a weird world we're living in. But Wisconsin's in that group too. And then this Maryland team is I think we've talked plenty about their head coach and how we feel about him. But if Derek Queen and the game he had on Sunday where he puts up 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists as a 6'10" freshman big man. And you have Reese, and you have just scrappy, basically old Seton Hall guards playing for Kevin Willard wearing Maryland jerseys. They could win a game or two as well. It's a crapshoot, but I think it starts with Purdue, Michigan State when I'm looking at teams for the second weekend.
Okay, and so then you go down to the bubble, and there's nobody really. I mean, Nebraska is probably there. Ohio State's probably in that conversation for Big Ten bubbly type of teams. Outside of that, it's not going to be one of these years where you look at there's some 10, 11 seed Big Ten teams that, who knows what's going to sort of happen with them. It looks like, right now, if you look at the bracketologies, all these Big Ten teams have sort of risen their profile to the point where they're 8s or above, which is kind of odd for the league at this point.
A little bit, yeah. And there aren't any. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any bubbly teams in the league. There's so many teams now that are without some of their top players toward the end of the year. The whole situation in Bloomington, Indiana, which we don't have the time of day to discuss at length as I could probably get into. There's there's a lot of weird. I mean, it comes back to the word weird, but I mean, toward the middle and the bottom of the Big Ten, there's a lot going on with injuries and coaching situations and hot seat speculation and all sorts of stuff. And Nebraska does not have to worry about any of that. And if they keep doing what they're doing, they don't have to worry about the bubble either, and they can just let all the other weird stuff happen at other Big Ten schools.
All right, Jacob. We appreciate your time as always. We'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep, appreciate the time, Hap. Have a good rest of the day, good rest of the show, good rest of the week, fellas. Thank you.
Jacob Bigelow, Huskers Illustrated, Stretch Big Pod, doing post-game shows for Nebraska ball. So this Saturday, let me make sure. Yes, Saturday at 11:30. CBS will be taken over by what will appear to be like sort of a selection show.
Yeah, top 16.
They will do their top 16 show, revealed at 11:30 Saturday on CBS. So they'll say who the 4 1 seeds are at the moment.
Does it say who's hosting that?
Who, like what, TV personality?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a good question. No, I don't. Okay. I haven't looked. I don't know.
I was just curious who's going to take the big chair for CBS.
That's right. I don't know the answer to that question. That information might be out there somewhere. So you'll get a look at who the committee is going, what they're going to favor at this point. There might be but one Big East team in that top 16. St. John's.
Yeah, right.
At the moment. The Big Ten is going to have Purdue in there. And then we'll see what else they have in that conversation.
Michigan State hanging around.
Wisconsin is probably in the mix there. Michigan may be in the mix there. Marquette is a Big East team that'll be kind of in the mix there. Creighton wins tonight, and then they win on Saturday. But they won't know that before they do the selection show thing that they're going to do. That could potentially get them into that conversation, which is amazing. So David Warlock. Yes, Josh, David Warlock. It's a man. It's just but a man.
Sounds like a warlock.
He's that's true. He's not a warlock. He's just a guy. He's the NCAA director of media coordination stats. We'll be hearing from him as far as like game times and stuff like that are concerned. He works for the NCAA. So he said 84% of the teams, 94 of the 112 teams since the first bracket preview show in 2017 have remained on the top 4 lines during the actual selection Sunday.
Oh.
Half of the 18 teams that fell out of the top 16 were 4 seeds in the initial reveal. 8 others were 3 seeds, and 1 was a 2 seed that fell out by the time Selection Sunday roll around. So basically the point here is, if you're mentioning this on Saturday, you're going to be in pretty good shape to be on that in the top 4 line.
You're good.
You're going to be, well, you're definitely good for the tournament, but you're going to be in that top 4 seed scenario, which is good.
That's the dream.
If you're aiming to win games in the NCAA tournament anyway.
Should hope you all
win games, as Josh says.
Win games.
All right. We'll be back after this. People just make fun of David Warlock now. What do you mean to David Warlock? His name isn't David Wizard.
Look, I just react to what is put in front of me, okay? I am a child.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, we'll get to the polls at Happer Show in the next segment, but we do have one up now. Would you text Tech9 if you had his phone number? I got a response from Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Other than our love for Marias and Ralston and an affinity for Caribou Lose, I don't think we have much in common.
Oh.
I didn't know Tech9 was a big fan of Marias and Ralston. Is there
Seemed far too specific.
Is there some lore there?
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that idea.
Just
though.
a very specific reference that has to be true.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like if there was a poll question about Migos, I'd say, well, craps. I once saw the Migos playing craps at the.
Did you?
At the Horseshoe? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or no, at Harrah's maybe or something like that. And they had a big, giant duffel bag, literally full of money. And they had like a big guy next to him, and he would hold the duffel bag, and they would reach in the duffel bag and pull out. So the Migos just playing craps with the Migos. So I know the Migos, one of which we've lost a Migo.
We have lost a Migo,
sadly. And that's what I think of when I think of the Migos playing craps. So it's weird the things we connect with the people that are famous. Josh,
everybody's got a story like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I once saw this guy at an airport, and he didn't wash his hands, but he went out of the bathroom.
This guy was eating honey roasted peanuts. He must love those things. Couldn't possibly be the only time he was eating honey roasted peanuts because he caught a hankering.
Okay, this is a tough poll, but like, what do you have an example of this? Have you seen a celebrity doing a weird thing?
I mean, I've met Clint Howard, and he's just generally
Clint
weird.
Howard, the soccer player.
No, Ron Howard's little brother.
That's not a celebrity. What has Clint Howard done? Clint Howard was the soccer player, right?
You think? Are you thinking of Tim Howard?
Tim Howard,
Captain America.
Clint Howard. I didn't know that Ron Howard had a son named Clint.
Brother
named Clint.
Yeah, he was in Apollo 13.
So you met him?
I met him. He was the radar operator in Austin Powers.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you meet Clint Howard?
He was doing something in town, and they're like, "Hey, Clint Howard's here," and it's like, "Oh, very, very nice to meet you." Like, why are you bowing to me, Clint?
Did you meet 50 Cent when he did his liquor?
I did not. Now I still have beef with 50 Cent because
why?
He walked out with a fighter opposing Terrence Bud Crawford in one of his Omaha fights. Do I remember which one? No, I don't.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'm like, 50, come on.
That's okay. I forgive 50.
Poll question?
That guy,
forgive 50?
He seems like he has a good attitude.
I think so.
Those things. I really enjoy his many videos making fun of Floyd Mayweather.
If you read one page
of a Harry Potter book.
Like
he said he was going to donate like $1 million to charity.
Yeah.
So 50 Cent doesn't have $1 million just on him.
It was probably taking the trolling a little too far, but I'm here for the petty.
Oh, totally. 100%. 100%. All right, tonight in Omaha, ladies and gentlemen.
Clint Dempsey. Many are saying you might have been thinking of.
Clint Dempsey. That was a soccer man.
Yeah.
All right. See, I know. I know.
Just want to correct the record before we move on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I was not thinking of Tim Howard. Of course, I was thinking of Clint Dempsey, the soccer player, which everybody knows.
That's right.
One day I'll bump into. Well, I did bump into Jamie Moyer once. He was walking around the streets of Lincoln. And I was sitting there at a bar, and I looked out the window and I saw a man walking down the street, and there was nothing abnormal about him. And I said to my friend who was sitting at the table, I said, "That's Jamie Moyer." And he was like, "What are you talking about? Jamie Moyer is walking down the street in Lincoln." I'm like, "Yes, I'm telling you, that's him." And so we followed him into a restaurant, and we're like, went up to him and we're like, "Hey, are you Jamie Moyer?" And he was like, "Yes, I am." Okay, what are you doing here? and he was in town doing something with the salt dogs or something like that. I don't know what it was. I wasn't really listening. She wrote me a John Deere letter. I wasn't really listening. But yeah, that was pretty much the story of how I saw Jamie Moyer randomly walking down the street. I had dinner with Andy North one time, and I didn't know it until after. Parker Gabriel could tell you about that one.
He was just sitting there at the table with you the whole time. Now, were you like?
I was talking to him.
This is somebody, but I can't place it, or did
kind of? I didn't think much about it.
Okay,
I didn't think much about it.
Okay,
I was just like, it was just me and him, and I think Parker at the table, and we were talking, and it was a great conversation. And then he got up, and Parker was like, that was Andy North. He won the U.S. Open. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do know Andy North. So I thought it was good. I'm glad that I didn't know he was Andy North.
Yeah, do you think he appreciated your casual approach?
Probably. This was in the bowels of Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Rick writes in. He's got some more information on the Migos. Migos performed at the Stir, but they did play craps at the Horseshoe. That bodyguard was a big dude. Mr. Rick was there that night? Wow. You remember.
Mr. Rick out and about.
Well, Mr. Rick and I, Handshake Meme, both saw Migos play craps at the Horseshoe. That's awesome.
All right.
LLA trades in.
Hi, LLA.
Connor, you combine Tim Howard and Clinton Dempsey. Well, that sounds like a great soccer player to me.
A
great American soccer player.
Yeah.
It's comparative, Josh.
It is.
All right, tonight in Omaha. I was hovering over this button for the last 15 seconds.
Hell in a Cell.
Creighton and the University of Connecticut. They don't like each other.
They don't. Why would they?
The University of
decorum.
The University of Connecticut is confused. Why can't we beat these guys? They don't have the answers. They've not been able to figure it out many times over the years. Except that one time in stores last year that was in Hartford, but it was ugly. Creighton couldn't score a basket seemingly the entire game, but they beat them here. Creighton won here. As UConn was the number one team in the country last year, the defending national champions, and then went on to win the national championship. And then Creighton went to stores this year, and John Bishop had no voice and beat them out there in somewhat surprising fashion, which I would say jump-started this winning streak that Creighton is currently on, a Big East record for Creighton, 9 in a row. That was the third in the 9-game winning streak, and maybe the least likely out of all of them so far. Tonight, according to Ken Palm, Creighton is supposed to win by 5, 76-71.
5.
Something. Now, obviously, this leaves a lot of open area in between, but I got conflicting thoughts here. I think we could be looking at Hell in a Cell, like the game. When I talk about Hell in a Cell, Creighton and UConn, the game that I'm really referencing is the one 2 years ago. It was a Saturday afternoon. Actually, it was 2 years ago today. Which I didn't realize until now. Creighton won 56-53.
Grinder.
That was the Hell in a Cell that I remember. That was the team that went to the Elite Eight. UConn won the national championship. And it was. I just remember. I remember Trey making big shots at the end of that game. Trey Alexander. He had 17 in the game. And he was very, very good. Kalkbrenner was pretty good that day as well, but just the absolute rock fight grinder. When I say Hell in a Cell, that's what I mean. So I'm torn in between whether I think we're going to get that, probably not to that extent, because both these teams aren't quite that good defensively, or we get the potential avalanche type of night. We've been kind of waiting for it for Creighton for a little while. They finished with a great knockout blow against Marquette on Saturday. And UConn is very, very capable on offense, but they're a step behind of where they usually are on defense. this year. UConn, they're healthier than the last time Creighton saw them. Liam McNeely back in the starting lineup, and they, were coming off of a game against St. John's last Friday where they lost late and they really had the faucet turned off at both the beginning of the game and at the tail end. So I would consider UConn to be in the category of desperate. They're 8-4. They don't need the win to get into the NCAA tournament. It's not that kind of desperate. They are not necessarily contending for a conference championship right now. They have the opportunity to kind of remove or displace Creighton from that conversation. They haven't won here in a long time. Actually, have they ever won here?
No.
They've never won here? Thank you, Josh.
You're welcome. Since December 20th, 2020, they have not won here.
That's not ever.
That's as far back as my little sheet goes.
Oh, that's as far back as they've ever played.
Okay.
So yeah, they've never won here. Creighton's 8-2 all time. Like I think they're desperate. They're going to want it really bad. Creighton, and the other kind of sub headline story with the Jays right now is they're running on fumes, as they said on Saturday after the win against Marquette. It's like, man, it's been a long week for us. We got some sickness that's kind of rolling through at the moment. Classic college basketball. I feel like we're always talking about that. And
Creighton's always sick.
They always have guys who are sick. And this is a relatively quick turnaround, Saturday to Tuesday.
Day quicker than normal.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I'm sorry.
You're going to be going off of emotion a little bit tonight, I think. So I don't know. It's a highly combustible atmosphere. Dollar beer night, Dan Hurley. You got the stripe out thing going on.
Red Panda, Frank Caliendo.
There's just a lot of stuff going on.
Nick Baugh.
I would call it a highly combustible atmosphere.
Something's got to give
in Omaha tonight. I'm not exactly sure what to expect. Last time in Stores, Jemiah Neal was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He almost single-handedly won them the game. I think if you're asking me what kind of game it's going to be, I lean closer to the grinder. I think both teams are going to make everything hard because they want it really bad.
I'm just really worried UConn's going to come into this game feeling very disrespected by the polls, by their quote unquote slumping as of late, and
they're disrespected by their own slumping.
Yes.
I feel disrespected by their own slumping.
You go out there and remember who you are. You're the back-to-back national champions.
Remember.
Yeah.
That was my Mufasa. I'm not a huge Caravan guy, so take that as some disrespect. I'm definitely not a huge solo ball guy, even though he's made 45% of his threes.
It's a good number.
Yes, it is. This team is they're just built a little bit differently than they have been over the last couple of years. And they came up in the conversation that we were having yesterday, where out of the four in the Big East, if they're all at their best, who's the best team or who are you most scared of? Like UConn has, if you're not on it on defense and if you're not pressuring them up on defense, because I don't think they handle it particularly well, but if you're not pressuring them up on defense and you're not in their face, they can scorch you. They have the potential to be sort of an offensive wagon, and they could shoot it at a really high level. So I don't know. Maybe we get that kind of game tonight. It's the basketball gods, I guess, will decide.
They will.
But you know what I want. I want 56-53 again.
Just
I'm feeling
grind.
a little disgusting tonight. That energy, at the end of a game where you don't really know what's going to happen in the next 4 minutes, but something is going to happen. Maybe Stephen Ashworth puts him to sleep again with a big three that
night. Inexplicably
somebody has left them wide open. They think he's too far away from the basket to shoot it. Spoiler alert, he's not. He's going to shoot it.
I'm a boss man, not a boss baby.
I'm looking forward to all that will come tonight at the CHI Health Center. including Red Panda. Yes.
I mean, you're throwing bowls to Red Panda. I don't know if we've talked about that.
I think I'm going to make Frank Caliendo do it.
Okay.
No, I'll do it.
I like the shifting of responsibility to Frank.
He said he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
If he showed any interest at all in that moment, I probably would have been like, okay, cool.
He's right. He's right. If it goes bad, they're booing you, not Red Panda. They're booing you, the thrower.
Yeah, it's only appropriate, I think, for me to lay it all on the line tonight after the whole let it fly shootout snafu, because I played it safe that time. I was not going to be the guy who got booed, but I think it's time for me to lay it on the line.
You have found yourself in a couple of these scenarios this year. It's time that you.
I got to lay it all out there. We need a result.
Yes.
You are at the blackjack table. You've been here for 3 hours. You have neither won nor lost any money, and you need a result. So you put it all out there.
If
your
your
chips are on the table.
So when you're flinging those, you got to miss high, not low, right? Because she's on a unicycle. If you get it high,
I have no point of reference for what I'm supposed to do.
If you get it higher than the chair, she's going to get it, right?
And I don't want her to have to lean over.
Right.
I'm just going to trust in her that
she's got a system and she'll tell you what to do.
I'm going to trust her. Like, if I miss, I know she's going to pick me up. She's like a really good catcher. If I miss my spot, they're going to frame me up.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just going to trust that in her. Even though we have no existing relationship whatsoever. But I know she's got my back.
And she does this professionally.
And I got hers.
All the time.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's
gonna be fine.
If you're listening on CBS Sports Network, put Red Panda on the television.
Back after this with the polls, we'll tell you what to watch on 1620 The Zone. To the polls at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Let's see, did we have any yesterday afternoon? No. We start with today. Quote, you can leave the food game, but the food game don't leave you. Question mark. I think the quotation marks were probably confusing to people. I said this. It's my quote, so I'm saying yes.
I'm going to say no.
74% say yes, Josh.
I don't think it's hard and fast.
Do wrestling fans know what's up?
I can't imagine what people scrolling through and not listening to the show thought of that question.
In the specific case of wrestling, they know what's up, but generally, no, they don't know what's
Probably not.
50-50.
Ooh.
Dead heat at the moment.
It's important. Get your vote in.
Have you ever been on a pogo stick?
Most voted on poll question of the day.
Yes, I have been on a pogo stick. Have I mastered the pogo stick? Can I pogo for more than 8 to 10 seconds? No.
Can I get 5 jumps?
5 jumps.
Probably
I can do
not.
5 jumps. I can do 5 jumps.
Well, video content. No. Yes,
You
I
don't
have.
think that I could do 5 pogos?
I think you probably could. I couldn't.
I got some balance, Josh.
But
Give me
yeah,
some
I've been
credit.
on a pogo stick.
78% say yes, they've been on a pogo stick. And finally, would you text Tech9 if you had his phone number?
I don't think I would. Intimidating guy.
76% say no.
Wow. He was very nice when he came in the studio.
Yeah,
he was very
cool.
pleasant. Like, hey,
They probably just figured, there's nothing for us to talk about.
I've got sports takes. He seemed like he really wanted to give out the sports takes.
We were happy to ask him about sports. All right, those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching tonight?
Well, it's Tuesday. It's our worst night of television, so luckily we do have a lot of basketball to watch. Number 1, Auburn at Vanderbilt, 6 o'clock on SEC Network. Number 3, Florida at number 22, Mississippi State, 6 o'clock ESPN2. That same time on ESPN, another SEC basketball game. Number 5, Tennessee at number 15, Kentucky.
The Ken Palm says, here are the best games of the day.
Okay.
According to the Thrill Score. Tennessee, Kentucky. Purdue, Michigan.
6 o'clock on Peacock tonight.
Bama, Texas.
8 o'clock on ESPN.
Florida, Mississippi State. UCLA, Illinois. Arizona, K-State. Pitt, SMU.
Whoa.
And then Connecticut and Creighton.
Okay.
This is a big college basketball slate tonight.
It is.
And this might be one of the best weeknight slates of the year.
Grunt the slate. Indiana at number 11, Michigan State, 8 o'clock tonight on Peacock. With a win, Tom Izzo becomes the winningest basketball coach in Big Ten history.
January, February, Izzo.
That's right. And then UConn at number 24, Creighton, 8 o'clock tonight on CBS Sports Network. We'll get to why later. 6 o'clock, shoot around on 1620 The Zone. John Bishop takes you inside the arena on 1019 The Keg and 1620 The Zone at 7:30 tonight. Connor, good luck with Red Panda. Tell Frank we said hello.
I will.
I'll just text him. It's fine. NBA, just a 4-game slate tonight. Knicks, Pacers, 6:30. And then that's 3 versus 4 in the East, by the way. And then today I learned the Memphis Grizzlies are the number 2 seed in the West if the season ended today.
No kidding.
Working out quite well for Zach Edey. They're in Phoenix to take on the Suns, who are not even in the play-in tournament if the season ended today.
Wow.
9 o'clock tip on TNT, True TV, and Max. 7 o'clock on FS1. It is day 2 of the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. That's why Creighton is on CBS Sports Network tonight, because FS1 is not available. They will award Best in Show this evening. And Connor, I know you hate docs, but at 9 o'clock on Vice, set your DVR. Patino, Red Storm Rising.
Like I want to kill myself, jump in the cold and die of frostbite.
A 6-part docuseries following Rick Pitino in his 2nd season as head coach of the St. John's University Red Storm.
I am intrigued.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one.
I am intrigued.
Yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
So we're watching tonight. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is next.